understand is why anybody would think that Donald Trump will shake things up in a way that is good for you, Pennsylvania. I don't understand that. Because there is absolutely no evidence that this man thinks about anybody but himself. I've said it before. Donald Trump is a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems since he rode down his golden escalator 9 years ago. You've got the tweets in all caps, the ranting and the raving about crazy conspiracy theories. You got the 2-hour speeches, word salad, just, it's like Fidel Castro, just on and on. Constant attempts to sell you stuff. Who does that? Selling you gold sneakers and $100,000 watch and most recently a Trump Bible. He wants you to buy the Word of God, Donald Trump edition. Got his name right there next to Matthew and Luke. I mean, you could not make this stuff up. If you saw it on Saturday Night Live, you'd say, well, no, that's going too far. No, he's doing that. It's crazy. And the reason he does it is because all he cares about is his ego and his money and his status. He's not thinking about you.
Coming from a galaxy near you, this is Brothers in Booze. And here are your hosts, Greg Washington and Doug Ziegler.
Welcome to Brothers in Booze. Doug, what's up? How are you doing?
Doing great, man. How about you?
Good. Thoughts on...
Man, what's funny is hearing him talk where he's talking more off the cuff than like doing the speeches because he's such a good speaker that where he's speaking a little bit more off the cuff is fun. Like him just... like just talking. I still think
I got something for you later too. I got another piece too.
Okay, because I still think his thing that he did about the crowd size with the hand motion is the best thing I've ever seen in a speech.
And you know what, Doug? You know what the wonderful fun thing about Barack Obama is that respectfully, and I'm not joking when I say this. I'm not joking. His wife is a better speaker than him, and that says. There's only one person in the world that I think you could say is a better speaker than Barack Obama. Let's just leave it at that. So, like, they're just amazing. He's amazing. Every time he talks, it's just electric. You can see why he was, president of the United States, for 8 years. If we were going to select a dictator, I mean, it would be that guy. It wouldn't be the other guy. So I'm not talking about here. And what did you say?
I was going to say that's coming danger. Well, if I would have said that, that would have sounded like the guy from Get Out. The guy's like, oh, if I could have voted for him for a third time, I would have.
Right. Hell yeah. If we could create a dictatorship, I want that guy to be my dictator. So then, here we go. I'm not going to dictate. I don't know how we get off. I don't know how I segue from dictators to what I'm drinking, because what you'll see what I'm drinking is complete opposite of any kind of dictator. But it's Giant Jones, It's Giant Jones. Grand Porter. You've had this one, right, Doug?
Yes, I have. Thanks to you.
Yeah, it's grand. I'm not sure if it was ever Imperial Porter, but we know what Miss Jessica Jones thinks about
the word Imperial
and the word grand. Yeah, and she's grand, and she's out at the Grand GABF this week, and shout out to her. I dunked in the Giant Jones last night, but I didn't. I had this previously, so Porter kind of night. Doug, what do you got?
Yeah, got Giant Jones employee there commenting. Yeah, baby.
Look at that in the house.
Yeah.
I was in the house last night, Murray. There was nobody. It was literally the first time I was in Giant Jones, and there was nobody in there.
Yeah,
out of soul.
So what I grabbed was something that just looks so weird because it sounds like it shouldn't work. It's made by Genesee of all things. It is black cherry vanilla Keller beer. So I had to pick it up because that just sounds like so weird that I have to try it, right?
Did you have to though?
Yes. You know me, Greg. You know I'm going to pick up the weird shit just because that's what I do.
Well, but you don't ever get dragged for your weird shit like I did from ABC. But I'm clearly still not over that. But anyway, go on now.
Oh man, the smell is definitely like almost like a black cherry soda. Like that's what it smells like. So yeah, it's definitely smells black cherry all on the nose. A little bit of vanilla in the nose too. That is definitely different. I don't think for me that works all that well because if I have black cherry and vanilla, I'm wanting a soda. You know what I mean? That sounds like a soda. I think it's just my perception is. So because I don't know, I wanted to try it because it was interesting. It's not terrible. It's just not great. You know what I mean? Just kind of like, okay, well, it's 12 ounces of beer and I'll drink it, but I won't get that again. And the thing was, I was lucky. I went to Wegmans and I wanted to try it when I saw it, but they only sold it there in 12 packs. And I was like, I'm not buying a 12 pack. I'm not buying a 12 pack of that if I just want to try it. Now, if I like it and I can go back and get a 12 pack, but yeah, no. So, cheers to
Wait, so you found one of them? What's the rest of the story?
Well, they do like build your own 6-packs there. So I found one of them. So I was like, all right, I'll do that. And I built a 6-pack and this was wrong. Okay. So yeah, glad I didn't buy a 12-pack of that. So cheers.
What is that called again? Can we see that thing?
Black cherry vanilla Keller beer from Genesee Brewing.
No.
Now, what's interesting is Genesee does have their whole craft beer division. They make a caramel porter that is fucking outstanding. That's one of the best caramel porters I've ever had. But some of their other things are interesting, but that is just mediocre at best. I'm going to be generous.
I feel you.
That happens. What can you do?
Yeah, so as a palate cleanser before we bring on our guests, we're going to do this.
Taste the biscuit. Taste the goodness of the biscuit. Taste the honey sauce. Taste the goodness of the biscuit with the honey sauce.
Never gets old. Never.
You have to have the honey sauce, though. And this is a great segue into our guest, actually.
Yeah.
This is a perfect segue into our guest. He's shaking his head, and I don't know why. So we're going to get to that really fast. But you taste the biscuit, Doug, and then you open up that biscuit, right? And then you drip that honey on top of that biscuit, right? Do you spread it though, Doug? So we're gonna get into food etiquette. There's a very controversial clip here on Tim Walls coming up that we're gonna have to dissect. So a lot of food, Doug, is about the process and the process of the food, right? You know, so like when you do you drizzle the honey over the biscuit, or do you use a knife to spread it, or just the randomness of the drizzle is what makes the honey?
For me, I do the thing where I'm going to drizzle some on top. I'm not going to drizzle it so I'll cut it in half and I'll put butter on it, especially if they're warm, so the butter melts, and then put some honey on top of it, like a drizzle line, not like a whole blob. Does that make sense? How about you?
You cut the biscuit, or do you cut it? Do you rip it in half, or is it just on top of the whole thing?
Usually rip it in half, and that's where I put the butter, and then I put it back together, and then I drizzle honey over the top of it. I don't put it over the middle.
Oh, that's like a double dipping kind of.
Yeah, it's almost like a sandwich.
Okay. All right, Doug. So without further ado, or actually it'll be a little further ado, we have a great guest tonight. He's our friend, food scientist, I don't think he's an at-home dad anymore, but he's still a dad. Always going to be a dad. Working dad. I'm getting Q here, but before we get to that, Doug,
Mhm.
to switch up a little bit, real quick. So, Doug, is it the centerpiece or is it the edge piece?
Always the
There's
edge
really
piece.
only one answer, right?
It's always the edge piece. Always
Like,
for me.
how do you do the center? How do you do the
Welcome,
I,
Jeffrey.
centerpiece?
seriously, that's like
Welcome, Jeffrey
that third
Bernstein.
time y'all got me to shake my head while I'm back there in
Oh,
backstage.
okay, we're gonna get to every single one actually, but welcome Jeffrey Bernstein, queer extraordinaire and food scientist and friend of the show and friend of ours and all those good things. But let's start here because apparently you didn't like somebody's answer.
It really depends on what you're using it for. I mean, if I want a piece of brownie to eat, I'm gonna eat a piece of edge because it's just easier. But if I want a brownie a la fucking mode, I'm using the center piece. Sorry, why you gotta discriminate?
Doug,
Well, maybe some people like edging.
I mean, edging is absolutely delicious too, by the way. I mean, that you went there, I'm just gonna say it's perfect. I mean, absolutely perfect that you went there.
Come on, man.
I mean, there's always got to be room. Always has to be room.
For sure. But I like your idea of using the centerpiece for a la mode, though. That makes a lot of sense.
So I actually remember this trick from one of the folks I worked with in my, I'll honor him, in my ute many years ago in the restaurant. And I see JHG knows what's up. Oh, go ahead, girl, get it. So, and pre-DadCon, uh-oh. Anyway, yeah, no. So we always had to, of course, minimize food waste, and it was always about how can we use everything, and it was just always about what's the best functionality for or use for it, right? So yeah,
Jeffrey, anything in the glass?
my usual iced tea.
Um,
I know I'm
right?
boring.
Is it just straight iced tea? It better not be that unsweetened iced tea stuff. It can't be, can it?
Oh, I mean, it is straight up Crystal Light.
Oh, the Crystal Light iced tea. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna be really honest, it's incredibly watered down because I don't like plain water. So I just put a little bit of the powder in, and I get what I get, and I don't get upset, and it makes me drink 3 to 5 of these a day. So I'm doing it or trying.
Yeah.
A little concoction.
Yeah, my little flavored water outside of the
I had
box.
this. I like saying the word concoction.
It's such a fun word.
So,
Okay.
Doug,
The show's starting off great.
y'all were talking about edging, and I bring in concoctions, and now we've lost all control.
I mean, all I heard was cock. I'm sorry. See?
Okay, concoction.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Come on. I mean, dad joke,
together,
pun, whatever. We're gonna make everybody uncomfortable that's listening, I'm sure. But let them sit with it. It's fine.
It's definitely Doug's fault.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Doug, do you have an opening question for our friend, or we don't do that anymore? Or what the hell are we doing here?
No, we asked what was in the glass, which we always start with.
Yeah.
But we're there. So I didn't really have an opening question because I just figured we were going to dive all into the food stuff, but I didn't know what you had in store. I was just following your lead, Greg. Sorry, I didn't prepare. That's
Okay.
that's on me.
Let's react. Let's do it. So we got a lot to react to. We got a bunch. So let's start with the best one here, since we want to talk food. So there's going to be 2 layers to this one. This little clip here. I want y'all to speak to the subject, not the person delivering the subject. Okay. We can get to the person who's delivering it in a second, okay? But when I heard this, it confused the hell out of me. So Jeffrey, it couldn't get a better person to deal with
Uh-oh.
what we're going to deal with now. It couldn't be better here. You couldn't.
Uh-oh.
So I'll wait for Doug to put his glasses on so he can see this.
I'm glad I
But I can
cleaned my
play it up
glasses.
more than once if we, yeah. But so here we go, y'all.
Day you saw him with a vanilla ice cream shake. Had a straw in it. Oh. Again, that tells you everything.
Okay, so he was talking about Tim Walz on the campaign trail. Had a vanilla milkshake, and he had a problem with having a
Him
straw.
having a straw.
So before we get to what it's really all about, I want y'all to was there ever a stigma in eating a milkshake with a straw, or is it the spoon only? And are we at like a ketchup on hot dogs kind of conversation? Doug
I'll
or
be real.
Jeffrey, answer the question before you get to what it's really all about. Okay,
I mean,
is there a stigma with with milkshakes in any kind of way? How about that?
outside of it bringing all the boys to my yard, I don't really know.
Does it matter a spoon or a straw though?
The only kind of milkshake that you would ever use a damn spoon with is like a fucking Frosty from Wendy's.
Yeah.
Right? Either that or a French fry. Like, I don't really know what the...
But is a Frosty a milkshake though?
It's a really a real milkshake? No. Absolutely not. But I'm just like... Okay. Are you talking like... if a milkshake can't be drunk with a straw, then what the fuck is it?
Well, look, all of y'all are from Eastern Pennsylvania, so all of y'all know Friendlies, right?
Of course, but you don't get milkshakes at Friendlies. You get Fribbles at Friendlies.
Yeah.
And you use a spoon to be able to eat any of the edibles until it's,
I was going to say, don't you get a big spoon at Friendlies, though? And
not usually with their Fribbles.
Okay. Doug, where are you at with this whole spoon
straw
controversy? Apparently.
Yeah, I think I'm with Jeffrey here. I think straws are the way to go. I think if they're too fucking thick to drink through a straw. Now the only caveat to that is if you have a milkshake that has like chunks of, like for instance, I like banana milkshakes, and if they throw chunks of banana in there and the banana's too thick to get through the straw, that makes sense. But like
is that
that's
a
the only
milkshake
exception.
though, or is that a concrete mixer? Or a blizzard, or
it might be.
Whatever it is.
I'm just trying to get some.
But I'm trying
to get clarity. I'm trying to get clarity on this.
You saw him with a vanilla ice cream shake. Had a straw in it. Oh. Again, that tells you everything.
What was the
Oh no! Listen, specifically, Doug. He said a vanilla milkshake, so he wasn't talking about like when you can get like Reese's cups in it and all that shit. That's not what we're talking. That's not a milkshake. That's I don't know what that is, but that's not.
Maybe he just went to
maybe
it was a vanilla. Maybe it was a McDonald's shake.
And those all come with straws. They don't even give you a fucking spoon. What are we talking about?
I don't even understand.
So confused.
I'm confused.
Doug, I'm sorry, I cut you off. I think, or I cut Jeffrey off. I cut somebody off with that goofy ass clip. But I'm just confused, and I wanted y'all to bring enlightenment to me before we get to Jesse Waters being a piece of shit, lying motherfucker on Fox News who purports himself as a fucking reporter, but he's absolutely just a fucking hack. He rode Bill O'Reilly's coattails and fucking Tucker Carlson, two of the worst people in the world, fucking to where he's at now, and he's even just being as shitty as more than shitty than they are. So before we even got to that, I wanted to get to the milkshake part. Okay, that's cool. Go on.
The only thing I'm shocked he left out is I'm sure Waltz also had his pinky up. If we're gonna really call a spade a spade.
Pinky's up, SpongeBob.
Right. So like,
come on. Unless it was about the plastic straw. But then again, come on.
I don't think it was about the plastic straw. I think
I don't either.
I think it's the fact that they believe that straws are phallic. That's what I think.
I would agree with you. And it's like really?
What did they take the milkshake and take the lid off and be like, I'm just
what are you gonna chug a milkshake? The next thing is gonna have they're gonna have white on their face.
Day you saw him with a vanilla ice cream shake. Had a straw in it. Oh. Again, that tells you everything.
That just gets me.
So that was part of the montage on Comedy Central, and it was about how the right, especially men on the right, are trying to project this kind of masculinity, and then they're trying to apply it to Donald Trump, who, again, if
It's
that's
weird.
your form of masculinity, I don't want to be a masculine. Does that make sense?
I don't want to be a masculine. I love how you just did
Right.
that. I absolutely
Right.
love the
I don't.
syntax on that, by the
If
way.
that's y'all's masculinity, then I don't want to be a masculine. Not masculine. Notice I said a masculine. Right.
Masculine. I got you.
Correct.
I,
Since y'all will take it up though and take out the A and say I don't want to be masculine, and then So anyway, I don't know if y'all want to comment on Jesse Waters or y'all just like my summation of him, because that's
I mean, when you read somebody for filth, how can you add to it? I already. I mean, listen, I can only throw feathers on that.
I have a question for that though. For each of you, if you're going to get a milkshake, what is your go-to milkshake flavor?
It really depends on my mood, if I'm going to be 100% honest.
Okay.
So
it's
if I'm
the
feeling,
one. Oh, I'm sorry.
go
Jeffrey.
ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
Because
you go. No,
So-
you didn't get to explain yourself.
so
And I'll
I
jump in.
am a huge. So I'm a vanilla malt. That's like my favorite go-to if I'm going to like DQ. But if I'm going to like, I don't know, one of those fancy creameries or like local places and they have these really cool ice creams, like I'm all about like, go ahead, make it in a milkshake, have fun with it. So like some of the crazier ones that I've had is like I've had a tomato basil ice cream milkshake, which is really freaking awesome. Yeah, it was pretty, really, really, really cool. But yeah, I'm usually just vanilla malt, and I am very, very, very happy.
Yeah, I think I'm either chocolate or banana milkshake, or if I'm lucky and I can find a place, I'll do it. A chocolate banana milkshake is just
Yum.
superb. That is so good.
Are
I
you a
used
fan
to-
of Chunky Monkey ice cream?
Yes.
One of my favorites.
Yeah. So
One of my
All
favorites.
right. So while we're reacting, I don't know if y'all have any comments on this, but we've talked about this over the years, Doug. But this one I thought was weird. Y'all weird. Hackers are making robot vacuums randomly yell racial slurs, y'all.
Wait, what?
So
What the?
yeah, it's a thing in Engadget. The attackers are also taking full controls of your vacuum, Jeffrey. So I don't know if you have any comments of that. So you can't even vacuum in your own house now because
Apparently. I mean,
Yeah,
what like? Thank God I have an old-fashioned plug-in vacuum. I don't even have one of
Mhm.
those random those things.
yeah.
yeah. What's up?
And I'm glad. I don't want to yelling a racial epithet in my house. Are you kidding me?
Man, if it was one of those hackers and they got control of that and they could just make that thing just do a slew of slurs all day long and just like have their neighbors be like, what the hell is going on in that house?
I mean,
And Doug has talked about how Doug and I have talked about how I have Alexa devices in my house, and Doug will never get them for the privacy thing, and I totally respect it.
Yeah.
I totally get that, and I understand when people make those choices. Great, everybody has choices, but this is not something that you would think would be invasive in that way. So that's why I'm like,
it's
wait,
your
what, you know what I
vacuum.
mean? Like, yeah, when you get an Alexa device or Google,
We have my whole home is
basically.
Alexified. I get it.
Yeah. You know what you're getting into. And one of the things that was funny, right before the stream, I took my where is it? This is still here? Where is it? Oh yeah, I did this, y'all. So I have one of these things where it covers up my webcam. And Jeffrey and Doug were like, wait, what was that? But it's one of those things that you put over your webcam, to like, make sure that people aren't being, your hackers don't get in and, see you or whatever. So like, I just thought I thought this piece was weird. Oh, sorry, Jeffrey. I thought this piece was weird because I'm like,
I was like,
this is,
putting them on display.
yeah. So I don't know. I thought this was weird because this isn't one of those invasive things that you think could be, you know what I mean, Jeffrey? Like invaded or you know what I mean? Like you don't feel that you're. And I don't have one of these things. I don't know if y'all do, but like
no, I don't.
I just wouldn't feel when I got it. I wouldn't feel like it could be
This
a
is a
way
cyber
that
threat.
you're going to be yelling racial slurs at me. I can't even like vacuum now, and y'all going to be coming after me. So it's weird. I was like,
I mean,
okay.
it's one thing if it's going to shame me for the shit it's vacuuming up. Like, I mean, that would be one thing.
Right.
Like,
Well, that's true
motherfucker,
too.
vacuum me.
That's
It's
true.
been 10 days, right?
That's true too. Doug, do you have any comments on the vacuum cleaner that might call you bad names?
I just think it's. I think it's. I think it's fucked up, but funny fucked up in a way. Like I didn't even realize those things had speakers. I
I
figured
mean,
they'd
there's
have
that
a
part too.
like. I
Why
thought
does my
they'd have a
vacuum
mic.
need to?
I thought maybe they'd have a microphone or something if they had some like voice activated thing. But like, um, I I don't know. It's one of the things I was watching something the other day where these hacker guys were able to hack into the new Hyundai cars and like they just get in, they're able to unlock the doors with a laptop. They're sitting there just and then they're in your car. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, like I don't want that. But it was only Hyundai's and it was like only a few models, but like
Well, this is what we have to kind of lock down, which is like, technology is getting in front of people, in my opinion. Like, we have to knock this down, y'all. If y'all gonna try to make everything a smart device, then y'all gonna have to lock that shit off the internet, or y'all gonna have to put some barriers in place, right, Doug? You're an IT guy,
Something.
I mean, you don't know exactly what I'm talking about, but that y'all can't just be throwing things haphazardly out there. I think what it is I think it's Wi-Fi. I skimmed a little bit, so they're going through the Wi-Fi because these things,
Oh, it
yeah.
does
See,
make
look, it makes
announcements when it gets
announcements.
stuck.
Yeah, and announcements are, "Yo, Nick, what's going on?" Like
Oh
what? Like,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm like,
So wow, right. So yeah. So something totally different and interesting, and y'all probably it could spur a whole bunch here. Is this, y'all? It's a chart. So I think it's what is it? The Marriage Pact there did a survey, y'all, of how couples meet in the USA. And as you can see, the red one is online. The blue one is through friends. That teal one looks like work. The gray one looks like family. Right? I can't see what that black one is. Is the black one the median there,
then
maybe?
that's the bar. Meet them at the bar,
Okay.
baby.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, my bar. Yeah, the bar, grade school, neighbors, college. So, Doug, do you have any comments on this? And do you want to talk about where you met your significant other, and what year was that, and where
Sure.
were you at on this graft, and all this other yeah. What's going on? And your
Uh,
thoughts on all this?
I met my first wife at a bar. That didn't pan out all that well.
What year?
Oh my goodness.
Notice this doesn't have relationship outcomes, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, I think we met in 98.
98.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then we married in 2000. And yeah, I met Jill online. And so we met
When was
through
that?
15 years ago, whatever that is. I can't do math.
2005
2015
ish.
would be
2019 or no? I'm not 19.
2009. 2009.
2009. Yeah,
Yeah,
2009. Okay, so you met Jill online when it looks like literally
things are
online was the most way that people were meeting each other.
except
So,
for well, I think when I met her, it was before through friends was like
okay, so it
yeah,
was the top two for sure,
yeah.
for
So
sure.
yeah, although
Um,
I will tell you, I don't know if you see videos of people who try to date now, and it is a fucking mess. And I'm just glad I don't have to do it.
well, okay, so then when you met your first wife at the bar in 2000, would you say
1998.
1998. So it was right before 2000 there. Bar was the third thing there. Real quick, the thing that really jumped off to me, obviously the thing that is easy to jump off is the online. That's clear. And they even put it on red so you can see. Like even before 1980 it didn't exist. And then it's just skyrocketed. The thing that really, really fucked with me on this craft is the dive that through friends made. Look
Yeah,
at that. That's wild. That's wild. That's wild. Is it not wild, Doug?
I think it's Well, what's interesting to me is church isn't mentioned on there at all. And that was what I always, oh, we got to go to church. You mean a good Christian person or whatever your religious denomination is. Church isn't on there at all. That's sort of
Ah.
that's sort of fascinating to me that that's not even in the mix.
Hmm.
Especially going back in like the 50s and 60s, back
Hmm.
when religion was so much more prevalent.
Yeah. Jeffrey, where did
Girl.
you meet your significant other? If you want to talk about that, and or any of this graph here that jumps off to you as either
Well,
startling or interesting, or where
there's
you at?
absolutely nothing startling about this. I do want to underscore what Doug said. I'm shocked that we don't see like religious institution because I absolutely grew up. You have to meet a good person, at temple, right? That's where you're going to meet a good Jewish girl. That's where you're going to meet a good Jewish girl. Is what I grew up around. Um, it's not how I met my husband whatsoever. Um, I met my husband through extracurricular grade school activities. When we were 13 years old, we were part of a youth orchestra that was a conglomerate of Long Island's talented musicians. And we spent
So that's
three,
grade school.
I mean, yeah, we were 13, right? Is that grade school? It was middle school.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what I assume they mean by grade school, 1 through 12. Right, I would assume. I mean,
Yeah.
so I'm just at least spelling out where my assumptions are in what I think grade school is. So yeah, we were 13 when we met. Um, when I graduated high school at 17, moved off, and there's a point in
That.
me bringing this up. We stayed in touch through the internet and through like
Oh,
AOL.com. And
Oh,
it wasn't
AOL.
until, yeah, I know, right? AOL. It wasn't until I signed on to my forgotten chat messenger, God, back in 2002. And I was like, oh my God, look at Neats and Rev is there. Let me see how Brian's doing. Hey, Bernie, how are you? So we resparked our friendship back in 2002 after about 3 or 4 years of just not talking because college and whatnot. And
Knife.
yeah, then we started dating shortly thereafter. And boom, here we are, married with children.
look at that! Look
So
at that! So,
it's the intersection. Yeah, I know youth orchestra didn't make the
so
list. Could you imagine, Zach? Right. So I like
anything
that.
else? Oh, I'm sorry. Anything else on this list here that jumps off for you?
I
That
mean, I
doesn't
think it's
involve you or.
indicative. I mean, listen, if I'm going to be extremely honest, the very first thought I had is, wow, this is representative of exactly what's going on in today's world. Real life interactions are on their way down, online interactions are on the rise. And you can see sort of this, exponential decrease in human interactions and even meeting people, right? And this exponential increase in meeting people online. So it's actually really sad to see, right? We are a social species. And while I love the connections that we're able to keep through, the internet, it's a stark reality that we're separated, like, and we're forgetting about some of our more fundamental human connections that drive who we are. So it's actually a little sad. And I'm not saying that I haven't seen some really great relationships come from online, right? It really opens up the possibilities of who we get to meet and how we get to meet. I mean, yes, there's the danger aspect. I met way too many people from online in my day, and I probably should be somewhere else, but whatever, right? That's a different podcast for a different story. But that was my first thought. Honestly, was it was actually really sad.
Um. So, I think we should look at this graph too a little bit. Is that the last date of it is 2020, and we all know what happened in 2020. So then,
Yeah,
but those trends were trending. Look at that. The Through Friends was declining long before 2020.
yeah.
So of course, you know what I mean. That deep dive started really, if you want to be technical, the dive started in 2000 there, but it really started
Sound.
to deep dive 2010. So it was coming long before the pandemic. So I would
Yeah,
really like to see what this graph's going to look like in maybe 10 years, because I would like to see Through Two Friends and maybe Bar come up a little bit, but again, Bar was still going down really well. Um, you know what I mean? Until so it's just weird. And the pandemic, you know what I mean? Like the pandemic exacerbated so many things. Highlighted a lot of bad things, accelerated a lot of bad things. and I'm with I don't know. Well, I was gonna say I'm with Jeffrey, but I don't think I don't know if Jeffrey said that, but I'm just saying like so it clearly exasperated the whole two friends things, and they made the the online just skyrocket because that's all people literally were doom zating is what I was gonna say, Doug.
Yeah.
Zoom dating, and so before we get to our next reaction, Doug has another beer, and so do I. I have more Morbius American
American
Porter.
Porter. What's
Yeah,
that
two
from?
porters in one night, Doug. How do I do that?
I don't know. So where's that from?
Morbius. I'm not sure where Morbius is. I picked it up in that. I went to a coffee shop that had flights of cold brew the other day, and I picked up there. Let's see, Mobius. Oh, Equilibrium Brewing Company.
Yeah, I think they're out of New York. Is it
Okay,
Equilibrium in New
okay.
York?
Yeah, Middletown.
Yeah.
Middletown. I'm sorry, Middleton is Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Anyway,
What?
yeah. So that's pretty good. Deep, dark, roasty. Tastes really similar to the Giant Jones, so that's a good thing. What's up, Jeffrey?
Have you had other beers by that? It's just a very interesting name, and it's a name that's rooted in mathematics and physics. So I'm
Yes.
just really curious about like other names of their beer.
Equilibrium.
Yeah,
Equilibrium
Doug.
Brewing.
Doug would have more than me. Doug has had more than me.
Yeah, I have. They do some pretty interesting stuff. I've had a few of their beers. I've never noticed like a mathematical theme.
Möbius.
Morbius was a shitty vampire. Yes. True story. Your thing is Mobius, which there's
It's
the Mobius.
Mobius.
See, it's the Mobius strip they have in there. That's what my wedding ring is.
Yeah, that's the first thing that I thought of. Was the Mobius strip. Like,
But
it's like literally the first thing that it says.
that's what my wedding band is a Mobius strip. So,
Stop it! How cool.
yeah.
Doug?
So yeah. All right. So I got this beer. I've had this beer and I've been holding on to it, and this is the perfect guest to have it with. So this is the Gay Agenda.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, and there's the laser dog. Lasers coming out of the dog's eyes.
And there's pink lasers.
So this is a
And
double dry.
of course, it's a daddy on the cover
Yeah, of course it is, right?
with
So-
leather. Ooh, hey, daddy.
So this is a double dry hop IPA with peaches. The interesting thing is,
Of course, it's with peaches. Of course, it's with peaches.
yeah. So 10% of all profits
Are you
from
lost?
gay. Yeah, I'm not.
Thank you.
10% of all profits from Gay Agenda beer will be lovingly donated to Chicago's T-PAN organization.
Nice.
T-PAN saves lives by providing HIV-related information and support services to those in need, free of charge. So, out of Illuminated Brewworks out of Chicago, I believe. Yeah. So, good
Yeah,
on
I
them.
hope it stands up.
Yeah, I'm not sure I've had this. I think you gave me this at Barrel and Flow.
Yeah, no. I gave you that, and it's a big IPA, so that's why I'm like, oh look, Zach found out, y'all.
I know, and it's also now being spread by fire ants. I don't know if y'all saw my recent post.
Yeah.
So don't step in a fire ant's nest if you want to be queer, because it might just get stung in you and change your DNA.
Turn everybody gay.
Right? Or some form of
Uh-oh.
it.
Doug's not digging it.
No, I'm trying to think of it's not as
it's-
crisp, like a double dry hopped IPA. I expect it to be more hoppy, and it might just be because I've had it a while.
You've had it a while.
But the peaches are really great in it, though. I will say that it's very
Peaches
drinkable.
are big.
Yeah, and they're really
Big
good
peaches.
in it.
Mhm.
So in a way,
peaches.
like
And
because
juicy.
juicy.
I love juicy peaches.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like millions of peaches?
Oh, I like the nice juicy. I like a nice fuzzy peach. Oh, never mind. I'm done.
All right. So anyway, the fact that I'm not a big
From
fan
edging to furry peaches, I'm
know.
done.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that
Um,
this is not super hoppy actually works in my favor because I'm not a fan of super hoppy beers. So,
It was idiotically hoppy. It was out of control.
well,
Maybe it
So
was meant for Twinks.
maybe. I will say this though: if I would have seen this,
I'm
I would have
done.
bought it too. If I would have seen this myself, I would have picked it up, even though it's a trouble.
Oh yeah, I bought it for that reason. I literally bought it for that reason.
Yep.
So that was the reason it was bought. So
Do you know why? Because you are a co-conspirator.
I am.
yes,
That's why.
Yep. And
Anyway, that's a whole other conversation.
Oh my God, it's chunky.
oh,
I love Twinkies.
Greg, look at turn the camera on this. Look at the chunks.
Ooh.
yeah, it's a
Is that the peach?
it's a chunky peach, Jeff.
Chunky peach.
Zach, I love you. I know it's a chunky peach. With all that, I can't go there. I can. And Twinkies.
I think Victor is misinterpreting what we're talking about.
I know.
I don't know. Who knows?
Maybe.
Maybe he likes Twinkies. If he likes Twinkies, dude, great.
So
I'm done.
we're gonna move on to something spicy now, if that's good.
Oh, I'd like
as if we haven't been spicy. Okay. Oh,
maybe some spicy peaches.
I was like, let's bring out the sriracha now.
Yeah, our former president. Well, y'all saw him earlier, but he was he's being spicy out there on the campaign.
When you said former president, I hope it's not the. My face went a little bit.
No, not
okay. I need to brace myself for that one. Like that would be jarring. One. Okay.
The one that we love.
I can breathe.
If you don't love him, fuck you.
And
the reason some people think, well, I don't know, I remember that economy when he first came in being pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good because it was my economy. We had 75 straight months of job growth that I handed over to him. It wasn't something he did. I had spent 8 years cleaning up the mess that the Republicans had left me the last time. So just in case everybody has a hazy memory, he didn't do nothing.
Man, he sounds like every Eddie Murphy sketch when he talks about like his grandpa like going off. That's what he sounds like. I love it. I love that he's just like not the cautious Obama anymore. He's just like, fuck this. I'm gonna go out and lay this back down.
Well, it's good to see the Democrats. Not that the gloves have not been off, but like even at this point, Barack and Michelle have just had enough. And they are the classiest motherfuckers in they could literally teach a class in political science course. And they can write it, they can make it, they can do it. And so they are the epitome of fucking class. So when they get a little bit dirty, you know it's time to get dirty, in my opinion, Doug.
Girl, even their dirty is classy.
Right.
Even their dirty is classy.
Let's
just talk about the classes they could teach.
Right. And
because
he's acknowledging the truth and what everybody knows it. But I'm pretty sure that was the first time I ever heard him say that shit. So that's why I was like, he was wild. What did I say? He's out here talking all kinds of trash.
He's wilding.
Yes. Yeah. For Barack Obama, that's wilding. And it's not wilding at all, though, on a scale of 2024. It's not wilding even remotely. It's literally telling the truth. But like he was, it shows you how we went from someone who was so reserved and calculated about what he said, how he said it,
had to
the way he did it. Because what they all have to be. President should be that. President should be calculated. President should think 3 times before they talk. This is all presidential behavior. This is how you run a black job, y'all. So,
but don't you think he had to be even more calculated because he was black? I mean, like,
yes.
He had even bigger weight on his shoulder.
Right, and we see that with Kamala Harris too. But also, though, it's just it's just a harken back to what politics used to be. Say what you want, but George Bush, W. Bush was far more classier than Trump could ever be. say what you want about John McCain. He was a classy individual. He conceded. Remember, he told that one woman who was calling Barack names, like, no, we're not going to call him names. He's a respectable man. We're going to respect him. We can
You're
disagree
not
on
wrong.
policy, but we're going to respect him. Mitt Romney, and on and on and on. All these, again, they're not lovable people. I'm not trying to say love them, but there was a level of fucking decorum. And now there's no level of decorum. In fact, the decorum is you screaming on True Social that you hate Taylor Swift. Like, that's literally the fucking decorum. What was he saying today? Barack Obama's going to vote for me. Like, what? Like,
No, he
anyway,
ain't.
Jeffrey's face is the best.
I'm sorry. I kind of
No, he ain't.
monopolized
Yeah.
that.
No, he
Doug,
ain't.
or I'm sorry, Jeffrey, jump in here. I can play the clip if you want again. Basically, Barack Obama is telling the truth about how his job numbers were because of Trump, and then when Trump had to do anything about the fucking jobs, we saw what happened in the pandemic, and that's why his ass really got fired. Because if he would have actually did something during the pandemic, he would have had a much better chance at re-election. Because a lot of people still say that, oh, I was making more and I was good under Trump. Right, because you were under Obama shit. First of all, let's just say that. But second of all, if not the pandemic and he would have actually handled that instead of saying, oh, it's going to go away in 3 weeks and all the other dumb shit, put bleaching yourself, all the other horse shit that he did during the fucking pandemic, got his ass fired. Like he liked to tell people he was fired. So ultimately, Jeffrey, I just wanted you to comment on Barack Obama and or him getting a little spicy out there.
I mean, listen, the older I get, the more unhinged I get. So if you want my honest answer, he's late on this. He needs to be. I mean, all of these surrogates, if they want any kind of support right now, that are speaking out, like they need to get. I don't want to say that they need to play dirty, but they need to speak up and out, dude. Like it's late at this point. It's late, and a lot of people are still feeling disenfranchised with the upcoming election. It's not the conversation people want to be having, but unfortunately, there are still a good chunk of people who are incredibly disenfranchised, and we have to be able to sway them. And we have what, less than 30 days, or just over 30? Like it's
less than 30.
No, it's less than 30 at this point. And a lot is at stake. And unfortunately, even the people who are going to cast a vote for Trump don't recognize what's at stake, even for them, because at the end of it, they're also going to lose. They don't see it yet, but that's what's going to happen. So I have nothing but good things to say for Obama, because it's like a politician's has got the chutzpah to be able to say something and call it as it is. And it's like, I want them to be like Kamala HQ on social
Yeah.
media. I mean,
Kamala HQ and social media.
Kamala HQ is as filthy as RuPaul's library opening for the Queens. And like, that's what we've needed. We needed that 4 years ago.
Well, what they did with that Kamala HQ is Kamala entrusted that to Gen Z folks to go.
Correct.
And they know how to fucking turn things around the
They
internet.
absolutely do. That
And
social media, I mean, listen, it has been on fire since it started.
Yeah, I wanted to also say that, as Greg mentioned, that if the Obamas are getting a little bit into the dirt, I mean, these are the folks that did when they go low, we go high. That was their whole sort of mantra. But I think, to your point, Jeffrey, because he was a black man in office, he had to be extra reserved about how he said it. He couldn't appear angry. He couldn't.
Correct. All of the racism that was thrown at him. I mean, he had to, and unfortunately, had to rise above every single time. And I wish that we had the ability to really see Obama unhinged, because I want to be at his backyard party to hear what he has to say. Well, do you know what I mean? Like, I love what we saw, but I want to hear, what's the word? How would I say it? There was a TV show. I had like backdoor camera. Like, I want to hear the real. I want to hear the unedited version, like the non-blooper. You know what I mean? Like, because these guys have to be angry. They have to be. I mean, maybe they don't.
Yeah. I want to actually ask Greg a question. Did you see the video of Barack Obama talking to a bunch of black guys and kind of chastising some of them, like if there's black guys not being part of this, and also supporting black women? Like, he did a whole thing, sort of a backstage, and somebody filmed it. And what did you take out of that?
sometimes some of us need to be reeled in, and sometimes people need to deliver that message, which is, I don't think that there's any more of a problem with black men voting for Kamala than there is at any given point or any even stage. I think the numbers are going to come out just like they did the last couple times. But there's a lot of fear mongering and a lot of shit talking being said that's not true from Donald Trump's side. Like they like to say, he's done a lot for black people. Let's see here. I'm not actually queued up for this, but now I am. So there's that. They also say that their numbers are growing and they're really getting inroads with black people, and that's another. So then, it's just so then I don't know. That's just a I think every generation needs to deliver that message, actually, Doc. So it wasn't out of the ordinary, if that makes sense. Now, of course, people sticking their nose in it like assholes, like Donald Trump. Actually highlighted like it was some big anomaly that this doesn't always happen in the black community, where our elders are telling our young kids, lock it in here, y'all. And y'all are carrying ancestors on your shoulders, and if y'all fuck this up, y'all going to pretty much give back, or potentially maybe give back all the gains that were made on our ancestors' shoulders. So you basically can't be doing that, and don't do that. And that's basically what Barack was. I didn't hear it actually, but I know that's what he said. That's the Barack thing to do, is to be prudent and smart about it, and to understand and try to deliver a message, because he has a lot of influence in the black community on across America too. So yeah, that's it was just a normal conversation, Doug. It just gets highlighted because these are conversations that should be we've been having in the barbershops and all that. You know what I'm saying? But it just got not blown out, but it got blown up because Barack was talking. But that's a good thing, because we want people to know that Barack is talking to the young black folks and all that. So good on Barack. It's hard for me to find fault in anything that guy does. It really is. He's just so polished, smart. Has his priorities straight. It's just it's just a shame we couldn't have him for 4 more years. But I would love for Kamala to blow everybody's mind and appoint him to the Supreme Court. But that's just another.
That's a whole other thing.
Like I was telling y'all, I'm just waiting. The next thing that I can't, like I told Doug, can't waiting for. I can't wait, Jeff. You ever have a thing where you can't wait? I call it can't waiting. What I'm can't waiting for now is for Joe to pardon Hunter and then light the world on fire. So that's gonna be fun. Can't wait for that to happen. If Joe doesn't do it, I'm going to be pissed off. Actually, you absolutely pardon your son for that shit. In my personal opinion, for all the people that got pardoned and all that shit, and Hunter was going through a bad time. I'm just a person who has empathy. There was a lot of shit that their family was going through during that time, like the loss of his big brother,
Yep.
right? That was Hunter's big brother.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So the loss of their big brother, all that shit that was going on with Joe in politics and all that. So it was a tough time. I'm not explaining or excusing his behavior, but as a human, I understand it. He made some mistakes. It wasn't really mistakes where people were hurt. So he needs his ass pardoned. On top of the fact that it's going to fucking trigger you, fuck your feelings, people who run around calling other people snowflakes and want to scream about the politicization of DOJ. That's pretty funny, because the same politicized DOJ went after the fucking sitting president's son and convicted him. So foo you on your stupid little weaponizing of the DOJ, of your little fucking God walking on earth, Donald Trump, who has his own fucking Bibles and all that shit. So anyway, fuck you. Can't wait to Joe pardons Hunter. Any comments on that?
No.
And then we can move on.
I think you said it pretty well, Greg.
I'm gonna clap.
And for real, ranting Greg is my favorite Greg. I love when you start going, because once
Doug,
you start rolling,
here.
So this isn't anything to rant about, and maybe something to argue about. But will classic rock genre die with the Generation X and Boomers, Doug? Because let's just say it here. Let's just keep it clean. While I like classic rock and I love the Led Zeppelins and I love the fucking this and that and all these, Genesis and Pink Floyd, I love them all, Rolling Stones. But you turn on classic rock station, it's literally the same Hotel California, fucking. It's just y'all have taken really wonderful songs and just smashed them into our head to the point that it's all mush and nobody gives a fuck anymore. And I'm a generation fucking X person. We need to talk about Generation X. We're a fucking hot mess, but we never talk about that. But anyway, I don't know if that's the time to talk about that. But anyway,
Hey, we don't make ourselves publicly available. Remember that we hide in the shadows.
the more and more we look like stupid boomers, dog. I'm
We do.
starting. It's
We do.
really bad. It's really really awful, actually. But anyway, that aside, will the classic rock genre, dog? Since you're the old, I was gonna say the oldest. Since you're the old guy here, and I'm the second old guy, is this genre going to die? And basically this question is also asking, do the millennials and Gen Zs give a fuck about classic rock? Doug, there you go.
I think there's certain people, like people who are really musically inclined, will always want to listen to that to hear how it works and all that. But I think, Generation X for us, rock was grunge, like at least to me. And that's, you do hear that on rock stations as classic rock now, as well as hair metal, Poison, Def Leppard, all those things. Rock's just going to evolve. I mean, right now it's in a lull. It was the king of radio for fucking forever. So
I'm talking classic rock. I'm not talking rock. Don't bring rock into this because rock is not what we're talking about. So Foo Fighters, no. Metallica, no. Metallica's not classic rock. I'm specifically talking Rolling Stones, Eagles,
okay,
Led Zeppelin. Think of it in the context of Motown. Motown, respectfully, is a dead genre. You with me? And it's a generational genre. So does classic rock fall into that?
I think so. I think there will, just like with Motown, there will be certain groups and songs that will stand the test of time. But I think on the whole, you're not going to hear a whole bunch of classic rock once, boomers and older Gen X kind of, shuffles off the mortal coil, especially like boomers, especially, I think. But I think there will be some bands, like, for instance, I think certain bands like your Led Zeppelins and your Queens, I think they'll stand, but I don't think you're going to see like classic rock stations. Like
that's what I'm saying.
Who's going to want to listen to that in the younger generation? Nobody.
Yeah. Well, listen, everybody loves. Look, we still love Jake. Yeah, hold on. We'll get to Jeffrey, but we still love Jackson 5. We still love Stevie Wonder. We still love the Supremes. It doesn't mean that we don't love them. It just means that like there's not a Motown station unless you got Sirius XM. So you know what I mean? So am I going to be able to turn on my dial and hear classic rock music all day long like I used to? I just don't see that. But Jeffrey, Doug and I sucked up all the air. So now we're going to stop breathing and you're going to go.
Well, we're not going to stop breathing.
Yeah, I was like, please keep
stop
breathing.
myself. I'm human.
I think it's pretty interesting, the question that you pose, because I don't think that any music genre ever dies, right? You don't see people going to glockenspiel concerts or seeing Gregorian chants, right? But it's still a genre of music. And while there might not be a dial, which shows your age, by the way, that you can tune to with respect to a station, I think that you're looking at it a little bit more myopically in your current state, right? And I think that music is just going to ancient rock. JHG, just stop.
That was great, JHG. Sorry.
You're fine. I think that in the 80s, did we ever think that we were going to be making and mixing our own playlists on an iPod in the early 2000s? Right? No, we didn't. And here in 2024, what is music going to look like in 50 years or even 20 years from now? To Doug's point, music is going to evolve. There are going to be subgenres that pop up and fly in and out, like ska, for example, right? Flew in and out. Like, I can't think of a current modern ska. Not that I've really followed ska, so I don't want to upset any ska fans. I love ska.
Remember techno?
Yeah, I remember techno, right? Remember dance music or hall, right? Remember like all sorts of
house music, Doug?
House music.
House music lives in a much smaller capacity, though. Yeah,
but I think that all of these genres are ultimately going to live. All of them are ultimately going to live, and they're going to find their niche. So is classic rock as a genre going to die? No, I think it's here. It's going to live. It's going to have a memory,
Okay.
and it will have influenced so many generations. And when you take a look at the current generation, actually, prior to coming on to the podcast tonight with you guys, we were listening to Brian and I were listening to a custom station that not station but mix that we put together of acoustic covers, because one of the things that a lot of the modern artists are doing, especially at least that we're seeing on Amazon, is they are reinterpreting a lot of these classics, and they're doing a fucking banging job. And some of them are just, I mean, I don't want to say they're better than the original, but man, like there's a version of
Mhm.
Dancing in the Dark that I'm just like, I will listen to this version over the original any day. And I'm like, this is amazing. So like I just look forward to what the next generation brings to music and how they look to change
Mhm.
it and what categories comes. Anyway, that's my long story.
Two little bits of anecdotal thing, and then Doug has a follow up. Number one, it was about 10 years ago. I went to a Tom Petty concert out here in Milwaukee before Tom passed, R.E.P. And I was shocked about. I thought it was just going to be like boomers and middle aged people like me, and it was there were so many young kids
Hmm.
literally screaming and
I
singing
just saw
"Free
Frankie
Fallin'"
Valley.
and "I
I
Won't
just
Back
saw Frankie
Down."
Valley.
So there's
Like,
that. Yeah, there's that. And then now my son's in my family's we're planning a trip to Vegas. And one of the things we're looking at is all the shows, Doug. And one of the shows was in that Sphere, that big ball thing. The Sphere has a bunch of actually the Eagles are in residency there. So my kids were like, who the fuck, like they didn't say fucking, but they're like, who are the fucking Eagles? Like, who are the Eagles? And I'm like, dude, the Eagles are they have one of the most iconic and iconic songs ever. Probably the
Greg,
most
did you
played
raise
song
your
ever on the
kids?
radio. Hotel California. Oh. We can get into all that. We can get into all that because I tried doing. They try to listen. We try to listen
I
to
know
classic
you. I
rock,
can't
and they're
actually.
just not.
I'm tongue in cheek with you because I know you used to host movie nights with movies from the '80s, and like you were
Yeah.
very
They're
big
just
on
like
like cultural good. No, I know you're good. I'm just kidding you.
they like some of the classics though. I mean, Queen is wrapped in there. They like some of the Rolling Stones, but they're just like, uh, they just didn't get that connection. That why are the Eagles playing there? I'm like, the Eagles are literally a classic rock. They're one of our rock icons, whether you like them or not. They put out a whole lot of songs. So then we went through the playlist, and they're like, "Oh, we know all these songs," and I'm like, "Right." But my point is that like that was kind of my end. That's why I asked this question, Jeffrey, because I'm confused actually. Because there's a level of embracement with generation millennials and Gen Zs of classic rock. We see that, but then there's also a level of like them just being like, I don't give a fuck. And maybe I'm just reading into it. Maybe they're just like us.
Yeah,
Some
I
of
just
it's
think
good,
I
some of
think
it's
it's a
not
little
good,
just a bit of
and
disconnect.
and
I
they're just
mean,
really they're not really exposed to it like we were. We were like it was shoved
no.
down our throat
No, it
for the
was
most
because
part.
you would literally the car would turn on and there would be, I'm quoting New York. I grew up in New York, right? WNEW-FM, classic rock station, New York, right? Like, I mean, I
Correct.
can
Correct.
still hear the jingle in my head, right? I can hear all the
Yes.
different stations that my parents would listen to in the car that were all classic rock growing up. And this
Yes.
is in the 80s and 90s, you
So
know.
and and I think like honestly, I think that the '80s, I think like that genre of music will always live. It's not ever going to quote die. And what I mean by
Ever.
die, I mean not ever go out. I mean kind of like just go where porters are, Doug, or something. Where like they're over there, we know it still hangs out, but no one really gives a fuck. Sorry. That's where I think classic rock is going. I don't know. Doug, you got to follow up. And if you wanted to respond to anything Jeffrey or I said and all that, we talked about a lot. So.
I have two things. One, the Eagles, two of their band members are dead. So I don't know who's in residency there. So clearly they found somebody to replace Clem Fry, and I think Don Henley passed.
Yeah, enough to give them money for that shit. But go on.
Fair. So also you put something else in my head, Greg, and it's about the '80s music, because '80s music is such a weird, eclectic, kind of oddball section of music. That what's interesting is that, and then you have like '90s and 2000s music. I think 2010s is its own thing, but especially '90s music, it's kind of like almost largely forgotten. Like outside of, so you know what I mean? It's kind of just kind of gone. Yeah, if you hear it, oh, I know that song, but it's not like people
80s.
loved. But people who are '80s fans like me love the fucking '80s music and '90s music. I hear, oh, that's cool, but
It's never going to go away.
It's not a. it's not a fervor for 90s music or early 2000s
Right.
music as there is for 80s music for some weird reason. I just think that's
Mhm.
just a moment in time. The other thing I wanted to ask is like Jeffrey, you mentioned having all your songs being able to be on an iPod or on your phone, like all this stuff now. What I want to ask you guys is there's kind of a movement, is not necessarily in music, but more on movies and video games and TV series, is trying to get them on physical media because streaming services will drop shit and you will have no access to it. Even, and in this case, I've seen some instances, especially I think on Amazon Prime, where people bought things and Amazon Prime, we're not offering that anymore, and they took something away that you purchased. So, do you guys see any sort of return to sort of a physical media thing? Like, I still have CDs from, that I have a little CD player, plug it, and sometimes I just listen to old CDs. But like, I don't know. I wonder if there's a return to physical media in this. I don't know that that's going to happen, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a no for me. I just
it's a no for me,
no.
dog.
I couldn't go there. I don't. I mean, I miss Randy Jackson, but yeah, it's a no for me on that one. I don't ever want to go back to physical stuff like that. Like I like.
So,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. VHS is coming back.
so the counter argument, I think,
Let's
is
go with Ari.
vinyl sales, Zach.
Yeah,
Zach,
vinyl. Yeah,
you're gonna
Zach.
turn into. You're gonna do that. But generally, though, we got Elon literally putting chips in people's brains. So we have
Johnny
Google.
Mnemonic style.
We have Google literally putting shit in y'all's glasses. So, and Apple have these new glasses that could literally dox people on the road. Doug, you can like look at someone and then it could bring up their address and phone number and shit. Wild, wild. That's where we're going. Wild, wow. That'll take stalking to a
A whole new level.
cringe level. But yeah, Doug. No, I don't. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm really skeptical of that because I just think yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
So that's the
But
thing that I would say. Like, if you're a
but
collector, vinyl is where it's at.
okay, but who is collecting vinyls? Old heads like Zach or
No,
young heads like
DJs.
my kids?
No. If you're in the music space and you're DJing, you're collecting that
Because
stuff.
also hipsters.
okay. So so you're telling me, Jeffrey, it goes beyond generation. So young
I
kids
think
are
this
in it
goes
too.
beyond generation. Absolutely. And I think that
Okay.
no matter what, there's always going to be a way for us to collect music in that way. And you're going to have people who sort of archive that stuff no matter what. Even the most obscurest of things, obscure of things, not obscurest. Sorry, that's not a word. That almost reminds me of
Can be if
obscurio.
you want it to be.
I mean, I am the queen of making up words, so you are absolutely right. Um, One of my favorite words I made up in my speech for next week, and I don't know that people are really going to get the pun, but if it lands on people, great. But it's soliloquies, and it's like when you have like a one-man show fighting everything, and it's like that's not the way to fight fires, is by yourself. Anyway, so I love making words up. So anyway, I think that we're always going to find ways of collecting that music or whatever it is, but people are going to want that in a hard fashion because you're never going to get the better sound for mixing what they want, especially the DJs. Like any of the, like even going 7-10 years ago when I was doing Zumba, um, I had a few DJs who I used to work with who would custom mix music for me, and they would always work off of their hard files, like off of their hard vinyl first, and create the digital from that. So
There's definitely,
Yeah.
especially from a DJ perspective, as somebody who's a former house head, like there's just something different about using vinyl for that. Like there's guys who do it now with a bunch of tools that are just all digital, and I don't feel like it has the same soul. Maybe that's just me
like that
being
old time rock and roll.
not quite Bob Seger style, but I just mean if you watch a DJ work with vinyl, there's something sort of really fascinating to watch
Yes.
how they are, because they're doing that shit in real time and anything can go wrong.
I agree with you. By the way, it's an art. It is
Sure,
beautiful.
for sure. So I agree with you guys on the music end. I actually think on the movie TV show front, I think we're going to see some sort of push to make more physical media back. For instance, this week, Dogma finally got released from its fucking hell. Like it's where it was basically Kevin Smith had no right to it because Harvey Weinstein owed Dogma, the movie, so he couldn't distribute it. It hasn't been distributed in fucking 20 years.
The movie with Alanis Morissette?
Yeah, there was Harvey Weinstein owed the rights and would not relinquish it. And some other group went in and bought it from Weinstein, and then that group went to Kevin Smith and said, "Let's do a release of this movie nationwide in like 2025, and you can go and do opening." And that movie is fucking great.
I love that.
And,
I literally earlier this week just told my mom to watch that movie. She has never seen it.
And
I love it.
Mari, if you a few weeks ago, if you would have done it, you could have sold that DVD for $100. Like that's how hard it was to find.
That's crazy.
So yeah, I could see that. Like there's certain DVDs I have because I just want to make sure I have.
But Doug, what would be the reason why the people who need to implement this, why would they do that? Why would they get back to physical when they don't have to do that? Is my question.
They don't have to, but if there's enough demand for it, I'm telling you from folks that I know who are movie hounds, like real movie hounds, they always get DVDs.
Always.
Because they know that at least they have it. If it's on Max, it can be on Max it can go be there for 4 months and you can never see it and you won't be able to find it.
Right.
So like they just all right, well, I have a physical copy of it. So like I just think that from specifically movies are kind of its own little thing.
Yeah.
So I could see it coming there. But again, Victor right here just says he's still
and I get it, but I don't see the incentives for big corporations to do that at all. In fact, Doug, I'm not even trying to argue, but like in fact, Xbox is even talking about, and Victor knows this one, Xbox is even talking about going all digital and actually getting rid of they're talking about getting rid of all physical media. So I'm just telling you, these big people want it to all be on their streaming platforms where you have to pay money, Doug, to get it. And I can't have a physical copy that I then loan to fucking Victor and Jeffrey, and then we could all get it. I don't know. I'm not saying you're wrong, Doug. I'm just like, these people want to hoard this shit. And that's...
But we see, but we also, the other idea, Greg, sorry to interrupt just real quick, is the idea that there's like vinyl for certain music people. That's a big thing. They want to have it on vinyl. I think you're always going to have that for physical media for different quadrants of media. So
sure. You're just gonna have to convince me otherwise as they're taking all of it away. But anyway, Doug, your turn.
Third beer. So I'm going to go with a Halloween themed beer. A little zombie with a pumpkin. This is
Did forbidden. You say zombie? Is that not Jason?
That's such a Doug beer. Look at that integral art there. Look at all that shit. Look at I can't even tell what's going on. Look at that.
Damn. I love the art.
But Forbidden Pumpkin. This is by Abomination, which wait till you see this. Look what it is, Greg. Imperial milkshake style IPA served with pumpkin spices, vanilla, and milk sugar. That is about the most Doug beer you've ever seen because of the can art and all the adjuncts.
I need a sound effect that says "Lord have mercy."
Lord have mercy. This one is 9.3, so this is a bit heavier. But
I also need "Bless Your Heart," Doug.
Bless your heart. Yeah. Bless your heart.
One part is they got like this really cool skull guy up in the corner, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, while Doug pours that, I have to say that all these can art, I would say most of these people who do can art for beer breweries are absolutely, positively, 100% underpaid. That's it.
No, for sure.
Because some of their art is just, and we know, Doug, that these breweries don't have this budget to be paying these people what they're worth respectfully. So then they just do it on a cut to get their name out there and to show their fucking wonderful skills. Because again, show that can art again, Doug. I mean, how long did that shit take? I don't care what y'all say. Look at that. I know computers are fast and all that,
No,
but look
no,
at
no,
that.
no. As an artist,
Look at
I
that.
can tell.
Yes.
Look.
Yeah. I bet you the ones who do this art,
JHG is
JHG, are
100% correct.
especially underpaid. I bet you these ones are especially underpaid because some of this art is just out. Doug knows it. Doug can speak to it more than me because Doug literally buys his beer via that. A lot of times, not every time, but yeah. I mean,
Yum.
even what I got on now, Doug, I wear this shirt when I'm missing Montana,
Yeah.
and even this guy's like, I don't know, this they're so undervalued, underpaid and undervalued. JHG. Let's throw that one out there too. Doug, what's going on with that one?
That one is fucking delicious. It is. It's basically now it's a milkshake IPA, so you got milk sugar and all that. So it's a bit sweeter, but all the sweetness is completely offset by all like the pumpkin, and there's got to be some nutmeg in there. It's like pumpkin pie, but like with that milk sugar flavor. So the sweetness added to it, it's super good, super drinkable. It does not drink like 9.3%. This drinks more like it's like 5. That makes it pretty dangerous, but like got my North Brewery glass. RIP to that brewery. Still miss that place. But it's super delicious.
So Jeffrey, I know you wanted to talk about something, but I also one of the things you want to talk about, or today is right.
Oh, it's National Coming Out today. Oh, Yom Kippur.
Yeah. So I wanted you to say today was a big intersectionality day for our friend Jeffrey, and we'll get to that in a second. I think y'all know a little inside ball. One of the things I do here is every day that Doug and I go live, I like to see what kind of observances are going on that day. And then we kind of like to talk about that because it's a good subject and fun things usually to talk about. So when I sent this to Jeffrey this week, Jeffrey was overwhelmed that there's like 3 or 4 things that are celebrated on this day.
I was like, oof, I can feel
and
the
Jeffrey,
intersections.
and that's Doug, because a lot of times sometimes I'll just pick it myself and just be like, oh, this is easy. And sometimes it's really easy. Sometimes you look at them and you're like, oh, this is a great topic for, a live stream for people to, be involved. There has to be that. So then when I saw it this week, I was like, oh, I got to let Jeffrey look at this one because there's a lot of things here. So yeah, man. I wanted to tee you off on Yom Kippur for sure. Maybe you want to tell us everything about it. From your perspective.
Sure, I'm happy to. It's a beautiful holiday.
And then you also want to talk about maybe general affairs in the Middle East. If you want to talk about that, this would be the time. If you want to do that, it's up to you. Doug and I are cool with whatever our guests want to talk about. If we weren't cool with what our guests didn't want to talk about, you wouldn't be our guest. Anyway,
that I know. I also don't want to ruffle feathers, especially within the Jewish community on such a day. So, but either way, for those that don't know, it's a beautiful, beautiful holiday. It actually is interconnected with Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah happens 10 days prior, and the 10 days in between are known as the 10 days of awe. Yom Kippur is very deeply reflective. It's a day colloquially known as the Day of Atonement, where we really look at forgiveness into the world and into ourselves as we set ourselves up for the new year, getting ready to move into the next holiday, which is Simchas Torah, which is the start of the Torah again. It's a beautiful holiday filled with lots of beautiful family time, family gathering, lots of self-reflection on what's going on. And given the recent anti-Semitism that my own family faced, my daughter on the bus just last month at the start of the school year, it was a great impetus for us to reconnect with our own Jewishness. Right, we're very culturally Jewish. We're not very religiously Jewish. I was brought up in a very Jewish home, more religious than I do, that's for sure. But it was really great, especially over Rosh Hashanah. We were away with some friends up in New York, so it was great to connect with other Jews. There's just a beautiful spark that happens when we're all in the room. And with respect to what's going on in the Middle East, may tonight not necessarily be the night to dive all up into the histories and the different points of view. There are lots of different points of view, but may we all be able to come to a point where we can have a conversation about history. And I'm not talking about the history that people want to hear. I'm talking about the history that people need to hear. I think that there is a very big difference, and it's a very interesting thing having grown up, especially as an American Jew. Um, Anybody is more than welcome to go onto my Instagram. I have been pretty extraordinarily public about my point of view as a Jew in this particular crisis. Um, I'm open to questions if either the two of you, I know both of you had said, this is just an area that is not something that's up your expertise alley with respect to, let's say, like American politics or other things. And unfortunately, way too many people started paying attention October 7th of last year. Unfortunately, Israeli politics has been very, very near and dear to my heart after my aunt was murdered by a suicide bomber, a Palestinian suicide bomber in 2002. So it's been a very big thing in my family, in my own personal life. So this is not something that I've been paying attention to since just, October 7th last year, which was a tragedy, by the way. I'm not trying to undermine what happened last year at all. And may the hostages, be released and come home, and may there be no more death, no more needless death.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Or however you want
Right.
to.
And the thing that I think most people are afraid to say is, and no more needless Palestinian death or any Arab death, period. End of sentence. It's just, it's gross at this point. It's too much.
I have one question without getting
Please.
too far into the weeds.
Yeah.
I don't want, especially with the holiday and everything, I don't want to get too far.
Absolutely.
But I think we need to, from how I understand it as someone who is not Jewish, who is not religious.
Sure.
But from my perspective is I feel like the idea of what happens in Gaza is we need to sort of somewhat separate the Israeli government versus the Jewish people of Israel. And this is my perception. I could be completely wrong. It feels like that Netanyahu and the IDF are making choices that don't always coincide with what their populace wants. Again, there are people who are absolutely and who are all for what Netanyahu and the IDF are doing. I'm just thinking that I think part of when you have your child and your family having anti-Semitic stuff thrown at them, that is fucking wrong.
There's real anti-Semitism and there is not real anti-Semitism. And unfortunately, in the last year, I've seen that word thrown around way too much, sort of the way racist has been thrown around, where it becomes watered down and it no longer carries the same meaning. I'd even throw the term Karen into that, right? That's not a term that I use lightly. It no longer carries the same breadth. I agree with you. As a Jew, as a Jewish population, and as a person that belongs to America, and having the American government, I was no less American under Donald Trump's presidency than under any other president. But that doesn't mean I agreed with my president. And if people aren't able to separate having and being Jewish from having a government that is governing the population that lives there in Israel, then shame on them. Because if you're going to blindly follow your government, then the three people that are here were all Trump fans during Trump's presidency. And I don't mean to make your stomachs toil, but not being able to separate the two is akin to saying exactly what I just said. So have family in Israel who fully disagree with what Netanyahu is doing. And I've got family that have, members in Gaza. And it's terrible. It's just terrible.
Yeah. I am pro not killing people, and I'm against the death penalty. I am just a person who wants peace.
Ditto.
So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no. I hear you. The problem with peace is that I think this part might sting some because this was a hard revelation that I had to grapple with in 2002. Instead of being 2002 was very hard, right? When you get that phone call and you hear that your aunt who was celebrating Passover was just murdered by a Palestinian bomber. As an American Jew, it's like your worst nightmares come true. because you're taught that anybody in the Middle East outside of those that live in Israel are evil, and now the evil people came and killed another person in your family. And as the grandson of a survivor, there's a lot of guilt that's associated with that. I lost a lot of family to the Holocaust, a lot of family directly. But one of the things that shaped me in that moment was what my cousin did. Her son, he went into Gaza and made a documentary. He went and met the family of the suicide bomber because instead of meeting them with hate, he wanted to meet them with curiosity. Why did this happen? How did this happen? And it was then where much of our family did not agree with him doing this. How can you do that? And I was one of them, because at that point, all I knew was what I had been taught growing up. And then I watched the documentary, and then I wound up in tears, to be really honest. And if anybody wants to watch it, it's available on YouTube. It's called My Mother Was Murdered by a Suicide Bomber. It's pretty freaking as you get. My cousin Bernstein did an amazing job with it and has become an amazing activist in his own right in Stockholm and in Sweden. But regardless, it forced me to see humanity in a very different way. And there I can point to very key moments in my own life where I've had to grapple with, do I want to know and deal with what's comfortable because it's what I know, it's what I grew up with? Or do I want to expand my worldview and recognize that there's more to the world than what's here? And unfortunately, when I've had conversations in the last year, especially amongst Jewish folks, I've been shut down. I've been called a bad Jew, a self-hating Jew, how can you have any kind of remorse for Palestinian life or for Arab life? All they do is kill Jews, hunt Jews. They want to no more and no less than Hamas needs to be separated from the Palestinians is the same as the Jewish people need to be separated from their government. And people are people, and people are dying. And there's a very big history as to why this is happening now. And unfortunately, some people like to take it back to, let's say, 1930s. Some people will go even further back. But there's a pretty clear through line through a lot of this history. And for anybody that wants to have thoughtful conversations, don't come at me, please, and tell me I'm wrong or that I'm a self-hating Jew, because I won't entertain those conversations or use the guilt of my aunt's death or anything like that. I won't have that. I won't be swayed that way. We can hold space for all life, right? When we say never again, it should be for all life. But unfortunately, a lot of people, I think, use the trauma, the very real trauma of the Holocaust as a reason for why things should be the way they are right now. So,
yeah. Craig?
Yeah. So, so one of the reasons Doug and I have had a couple conversations about this. One of the reasons why Doug and I don't talk about this is because Doug and I don't know about this. And instead of putting our foots in our mouths, instead of saying things that we can see on the peripheral, I think it's hard I think it's even hard for Jewish people, and Jeffrey could probably even say that, to really fully get your head around all the history, all the things that are done, and what needs to be done going forward. This isn't my community. So as I said to y'all on the side, Black people get annoyed when y'all white people are snooping around our business without being asked into it. And this is why I like Doug's question was, hey, yo, what happened with Barack Obama and y'all talking about Black people? Cool. I was willing to have that question. But Doug didn't start the conversation by saying, hey, Barack Obama was talking to Black people and he said dot, dot, dot. Like you see some people do that. Doug and I do not want to do that on this platform. So but when we do have people who are connected closely to it, like you, we would like their voices to be heard. And Doug and I would like to just ask questions and shut the fuck up. So that's kind of where we're at. Doesn't mean we don't have an opinion, but our opinion, I don't think people like to say this, but some opinions mean more than others. So hate to tell y'all, but sometimes your opinion don't matter. And
see, this is what allyship,
I'm not even trying to be
like.
Yeah, I don't really give a fuck. It's not my problem. So if I have a problem, like but at the same time, I mean, I care about the loss of life. I care about humanity. I care about peace. I want people to get together. I want people to be able to live out their lives in the fullest without having to be under any kind of, we hear stories of people in Jerusalem in bunkers. We hear people in Gaza in bunkers. Like, I don't want people living out of bunkers. I don't care what side you're on. I don't care what you're doing. So the humanity in me is what I want to come through. I can't speak to the issues, Jeffrey. I just can't. I don't want to sound dumb, and I'm uninformed. Overall, I'm
Unfortunate,
uninformed, and
yeah.
we are all uninformed.
A lot of
Fully.
people are
I think
uninformed.
there's a level. I think there's a level of for informity that you still don't have your grasp on, and you're fully immersed. So it's just really difficult for me to hear assholes come out and be so strong on either side and don't have any kind of relative, not only humanity, but any kind of relative evidence and things to really back up what the fuck they're talking about. So when Doug and I click end stream, that's when Doug and I will talk about the Middle East. So Doug and I can be uninformed and talk about it in an uninformed manner, that we're not spreading any mispropaganda or misinformation or
Sure.
anything that can hurt people. We don't know enough. Now, if you want to talk to me about how the Browns are shitty and why they're 1-4 and all that, hell, I can have a soliloquy on 4 fucking 6 hours. And honestly, let the rest of the NFL talk about it too. It's not just a Browns fan thing. I know a lot about that goofy shit. I know too much. I shouldn't know as much as I do, but I know a lot, and I can talk to you and all this other thing. But outside of that, I don't know what's going on with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know that they suck and probably haven't won a game. I don't know. They even lost to the Browns, which is horrifying. But that aside, they got they're supposed to have a good young quarterback, a coach that went to the Super Bowl. I don't know what the fuck's going on. The owners are fucking idiots, so that's that. But my point is that I'm not really a Jacksonville Jaguar fan, so I can see the peripheral, but Doug can be like, dude, it's about the defensive line and the coach sucks. And I'll be like, dude, I don't really know. I just know that y'all have this quarterback, y'all have this owner that's this shit. You know what I mean? So, like, sometimes you shouldn't talk all the time, Jeffrey. Sometimes you just shut the fuck up. So that doesn't mean that, we don't care. It doesn't mean we're on the side of Israel. We're just on the side of humanity here. And now that you're here to at least give us a conversation about, that's great. And if y'all are rude to Jeffrey for his opinion, fuck you and fuck you too. And the horse you rode in on. Even though I don't mind the horse, it's not his fault he's there. Anyway, Doug, do you have I have a third beer. But Jeffrey, if you want to wrap up, it's some kind of Peas Lonely. Didn't you get this to me, Doug?
Yes, I did. Zero Gravity.
Yeah.
That's a New York brewery.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. We don't need to belabor that. If we wanted to talk any more Middle East things, and we can move on to something that's completely different and random and wild. But so I don't want to be dismissive. And
there's a lot that could be said on this. And as Jeffrey said, I think doing this in the middle of a holiday time, I think maybe we should just kind of move on to other things. Jeffrey, are you okay with that?
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Okay, cool.
I also think, by the way, that it's completely okay to talk about it. By the way, even though it is holiday, because Judaism has a really big, there's a big fundamental tenet of ours that is about discourse and disagreement and having these conversations, and that's something. Oh yes. Oh, you can get That's why, this is a fundamental thing. And this is why I have an issue with my own faith, is because we are always encouraged to have conversations about Torah is, being the first 5 books. But, and I haven't shared this on this platform before, but one of my biggest contentions with, the Jewish faith was when it was just before my bar mitzvah. So I was 11 years old in Hebrew school, and we were in, I don't remember which particular class. I actually remember the teacher that was talking that Sunday, and the question came up, or the topic of whether or not humans were created in God's image, right? Man and woman were created in God's image. So I raised my hand in class and I said, well, doesn't that mean that God's gay if there are gay people? Right? That means part of God has to be gay. Mm-hmm. And it was from that moment forward that I was actually removed from the classroom. And it was a very, very, very traumatic experience for me. Yes, I was brought to my rabbi. It was a horrible question to ask. That is blasphemous, is what I was told. And my parents were brought in later that week to have a deeper conversation between the cantor and the rabbi and myself. Why would I ask such questions? And so yeah, it opened up a lot of conversations at home. But anyway, yeah, it's built on dissent, and these are some of the things I actually I love and miss about my grandfather. He and I would talk about all sorts of things around Judaism. And we would try to see it from different perspectives and purposefully disagree to see if we can come to different thoughts. And I love that aspect of it.
I really wish our friend Daniel was here, because that guy, he's observing the holidays and everything, so he's not been on. but it would have been fun to have him on to speak on his
I
perspective.
miss him. Yeah, I miss seeing his comments come through the queue, but I didn't. I had a feeling he wasn't going to be on tonight.
Yeah. So
Well,
See,
anyway,
this is where
yeah,
I get to say I'm just Jew-ish, right?
ish.
I don't mind
are
it.
you also you're also gay-ish?
I mean, I don't know.
Still up in the air.
I'm gay. I'm
I
gayish.
mean-
You're not. I'm
I
gayish. You are.
mean,
Let's go.
yeah.
Let's go.
Aren't
I
we
can be
all
gay.
kind of gayish though, in a way?
Yes.
I mean,
Hell yes.
listen. If
Kinsey
people are gonna
told
be
us.
truly
Kinsey
honest,
told us.
Kinsey told us that exactly.
Kinsey told us. Kinsey told us. But yeah. So it's National Coming Out Day, Jeffrey. It's one of those days. Another day.
World to know.
October Love is sharing a whole bunch of different things. So what you got to say about this, Jeffrey and
So-
Doug?
I think the one thing I want to say is while I love that there is a day for this, I think that it's incredibly important that while we celebrate the act of coming out, let's recognize that coming out is not a one-time thing, especially for queer folk. It is an ongoing thing for queer folk. And it's something that's going to happen for us to the day that we die, depending on our social situations. But most importantly, I really want to lift up those people who want to be out but can't be out for whatever reason. I see you. I love you, and you belong here. That is all I have to say about today.
We literally have countries full of people who can't come out. So
Like,
it's not just about us Americans.
correct.
We literally have countries full of them.
I mean,
Full.
full of
Women.
people who cannot just be themselves.
Can't express themselves, can't be that. So yeah.
And like I can't.
What's
I
up, Doug?
can't.
Doug, I'm pretty sure we know you're not gay, but I know you have some thoughts on this.
Yeah, because I have multiple kids who are queer. So, like, this is, as Jeffrey said, this is all about making sure someone feels safe enough to be themselves. And if they don't feel safe and you're in their sphere, you need to find out what you need to do to make them feel safe.
Correct.
And if you are not doing that, then you are harming them. And you may not believe you're harming them. It could be some reason where maybe you're not even aware that they're afraid to tell you because they think that if I tell you, you're going to disown me or whatever. That's a real thing. Like, people go through that, not just being queer. Like, how many times you're like, I'm afraid to tell my parents this because they're going to fucking be super mad. I got a bad grade. Well, yeah, my parents are going to be furious. Well, yeah, but like, it's not always that case. And here's the thing. And I think allyship isn't just, oh, well, I accept everybody. Allyship is fucking stepping up and just being like able to say, this is my family member, my friend, whoever it is. It could be somebody you don't even know. I'm here to defend your right to be able to be yourself anywhere you are. Allyship is not a finite thing. And honestly, like as Jeffrey mentioned, that some people, when they come out, they're coming out all the time. Allyship is the same thing. You got to be just fucking willing to keep going, keep doing, keep
Allyship
people.
requires deep internal work.
Mm.
It requires that we recognize these biases that we have, and we have to, as allies and with allyship, we have to embrace the discomfort,
Mhm.
and it's committing to that real action. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, it's committing to, it's not about the kindness. It's not about the smile. It's about making the sacrifices. It's about sharing power, and it's about centering the needs of those marginalized communities, whether it's the queer community, the Black community, brown community, right? It's about disrupting systems that are the base of the inequity, and it's
Mhm.
about getting to their fucking core. And I'm so tired of this incremental space, because true allyship goes beyond the words that we speak. Right. And I'm now getting ready to embark on teaching people and speaking about allyship to a whole group of dads next week. That's at the core of what I'm doing. And at the end of it, the one thing that they're going to be left with is that it demands consistent effort and a willingness to create lasting change. So you literally just hit at the heart of what I'll be speaking at next week, and why I think so many people hate the word allyship, and they're going towards this word co-conspirator, right? Because there is an inherent difference between the two. And I love co-conspirator, but anyway, man, you hit my heart in a way that is so, yeah.
Yeah, well, Greg, before you hop in, I know you had something, but I just wanted to mention quick that Greg is aware of this, and some other people I've talked about it on the stream before. Is that like I was the global lead for our Pride committee for our global organization for a year, and just doing stuff where you realize, like, all right, what I am doing is I am trying to make it so people who work with me around the fucking globe know that they can come here and you are welcome and you will always be welcome. And there's a fierceness you need to have, is to be able to say, I am here and I am going to be by your side no matter fucking what.
No matter what.
And that's the thing is, and as you said, there's an evolution that you have to do as a quote unquote ally. Is you're going to constantly be challenging your biases. You're going to constantly be challenging your thought processes, what you grew up with, what was pounded in your brain when you were a kid. Like, I'm 53 years old. The amount of unlearning I have had to do is astounding, and I'm still doing it. And
we're
it's an
still doing
active
it.
process,
It's
and that is
active,
uncomfortable.
yes.
And it is so uncomfortable to constantly be challenging things you think about and how you feel. And you have to think, oh, it's hard for me. Imagine how hard it is for people who are unable to come out. Like, those are the people that need our help the most.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that not everybody needs your help, but like the folks that just don't feel safe to be them fucking selves. I'm a cis straight white guy. I can be myself all the time. I don't have anything telling me I can't, or anything kind of pounding me and telling me that I shouldn't be that way. I'm a person that needs to be loud for those folks who can't be. I don't know. End of rant. I'll be quiet now.
That's not very cis white male of you.
I shouldn't. That's the other part, is as a cis white male, you should learn to shut the fuck up and listen.
So I want to get to the gay shit first, and then we'll get to the unpacking shit. So, as a male who has discovered and or come out as part of the spectrum late in his life, I can concede to Jeffrey's point that it's a constant thing that you talk about. It's a journey, not a destination. What it's also a journey, not a destination, is unpacking and being an ally, y'all. Now, I want to take this. I don't want to disrespect our National Coming Out Day, but I'm going to take this to a racial thing, which is Doug knows I've been into more than a couple of skirmishes here recently with some white people about some white privilege and different other things that I was pointing out that I thought that I could point out to friends. And apparently, didn't go so well. And the subjects that I'm talking about, on some level, feel that since they're doing the work, in my opinion, they're done unpacking. And that couldn't be further from the fucking truth, cis white male. Because cis white male feels that on some level, when there's a level of him doing something, that he's absolved from all of his cis white male privileges that he still gets and still sometimes reaps the benefit of while you're doing work. So that's not a reason for you to think that you're no longer privileged, because you're missing the point of what privilege is. Also, it's not a reason for you to throw in any minorities person's or BIPOC person's face about what you're doing. Quite frankly, we don't give a rat's ass because there's not enough of you doing it. I personally don't give a fuck. That's not my problem. Okay? I got to do my lane over here. And I got to do my work over here. And I also got to protect me and mine because some of y'all are dangerous. So, and this goes clear across the gay scale, clear across, because many gay entrants, not the same, but same
Not
plight.
the same, but so listen. For the sake of our conversation here, we'll assume that gay can mean the whole community, or you can use queer.
Yes,
right? We don't have a good word for it, but I mean, I personally know you are including our trans sisters and intersex family as well.
And there's a level of danger there for them, especially them, especially. So I just want to make sure that people understand that while I respect and I want people to be working, it's still not. That's still not. Oh, that's over here, y'all. And you still having to unpack some of the things that you grew up with and the intentionalized things that we all grew up with, that we're all indoctrinated with. Never, it's never going to end white cis male. It's never going to end cis person. It's never going to
No.
end heterosexual person. It doesn't end. So let's not act like it's a destination. We got there and we can do the George Bush, mission
Mission
accomplished thing,
accomplished.
and we can move the
So
fuck on. No, 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 no. It doesn't work that way, and it doesn't work that way for me as a black male when
no,
it
it
comes
doesn't.
to misogyny, of all the dumb fucking misogynistic things that I thought, that I did, that I said when I was young. These things I'm not going to forget. Am I that person now? No. Do I try to project a better thing because I'm a father and I'm a person who's older? And no, yes, I try, but I still say dumb fucking shit. I still think dumb fucking misogynistic shit. Sometimes I think anti-gay shit. Hell, there's times where I think anti-black shit. And I'm like, what are you fighting against this black person for? What's the problem? So I go through that unpacking too. So if I have to go through the unpacking cis white male, you better bet your motherfucking ass has to go through it. So don't do that. And especially don't do that to BIPOC people. It's fucking gross. Thank you. And don't do it to gay people.
So,
Oh,
here's the issue. Like, and I
there's that.
agree with you. No, 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 no. You hit the nails on the
There's that.
head. The problem is that so much of the work that has to do with DEI, and a friend of mine, and not just a friend, a real true thought leader in this space, gave me some very poignant feedback for me, which is that all too often we try to distill so much of the work into check boxes, things that we have to check off to make sure that we do. And you are literally at the crux of where we both netted out in this conversation is that as white people, so let's go on the racial part, because it could be just as easy, by the way, to apply this to any one of the marginalized communities. And for those that are listening that are going to be with me next week when I'm speaking about allyship, if you think I'm only speaking about the queer community, you're very wrong, by the way. In fact, I don't really mention anything about my community outside of me being queer, to be frank, because it's about standing up for the marginalized communities, not just my community, right? This is a sacrifice that we all have to make about all of the people. But anyway, with that being said, when we distill DEI to a system of tools or check boxes that we have to check off, we think that we're done at the end of it because, hey, I went through that 11-week course, or hey, I got my belt in DEI. What else do I have to learn? But just like a doctor needs to continue with their continuing medical education credits, just like a dietitian, just like any other, good trade requires continuing education, so does DEI. That work doesn't end until I am buried or put into a mycelium cloth to decompose in the earth. May that be the last moment I stop learning and growing. So, and I have one last thing to add to that.
Let's go. Let's go.
Because the thing, and I know that this can come off sounding harsh, especially what I just said, but just like when we're off camera later and there's a space for us to be able to have conversations that can get raw, it's important that when you are in a space where you're invited in to have a raw conversation and you speak up as an ally, that if you're corrected, where someone says, hey, stop, you're stepping into my lane, let's not get defensive. Because as allies, sometimes when we know a little bit or feel we have enough power, we use it in the wrong way. And let's make sure that we know our lane. But when someone in a community corrects you, wow, I didn't realize that that was my impact. Thank you for sharing that. As opposed to getting defensive, because one of the first lessons in any of this is that it's about impact over intent. And your intention might be one thing, but if it feels a way to somebody and they share it, be honored they feel comfortable enough to share it, and don't shoot them down for sharing their fucking feelings.
Yeah, there is something to the idea of like if I get invited into a space. I remember one time after Beer Trick and had me be part of a Zoom in the middle of the pandemic with a bunch of black brewers. And Teo Hunter was on it. from Crowns and Hops, and he was like, "Who's this white motherfucker in here?" And everybody was like, "He's okay. He's invited to the picnic or the whatever the cookout." She was invited to the cookout, and he's like, "All right." And all I did was I shut up and I listened. I just think that if you just sit there and you absorb what you are trying to hear from other folks who are not like you, that is the thing. Is like we see this in political realms so fucking much, where it's like, well, the others are bad. They're trying like, and it's Trumpism and all that, but it's not Trumpism. It's been Reaganism. It's been Bushism. It's been all the Republican things and some Democrats too. There's been a handful of them. Clinton did it because he signed a crime bill. That guy was not a big ally of people of color. But the idea is like if you're
Doma.
Doma's another one. But what I'm saying is the idea of like, as someone, if you're invited into a space, like you said, whatever that space is, and you aren't a person who is part of that space and someone invites you in, they're giving you access to them. And it is your responsibility to absorb and listen and fucking learn. And then how can I help those folks?
Oh yeah.
So that's my 2 cents as a white guy who's been in a few spaces.
Doug, after 4 years of this, Doug has said the fucking horrible, polarizing words, quote, the crime bill. Oh my God.
Sorry.
No. That shit is not, listen, okay, I don't really want to go down this rabbit hole, but since it was talked about, I got to address it a little bit. Number one, black people wanted the crime bill back then. Our fucking neighborhoods were overwhelmed by fucking shit. We literally, black people wanted that. What nobody saw, including Bill Clinton, and y'all brought it up to use it against Biden, nobody saw the bad, ill effects of it. No one actually went into it, in my opinion, knowing that, the police are a white supremacy organization. So when you put things more in their hands, white supremacists are going to white supremacists. That's what happens, y'all. So, so with that being said, I don't think that the intention was to put all this power into those hands, given that it wasn't just the mindset of it now. Now, if y'all try to pull that crime bill right now, y'all gonna get your heads handed to you, and absolutely should. But I think the intent of the crime bill was far better than what happened with the crime bill. And yes, we need to hold those people accountable for it. But I'm just here to tell you that black people back in the day, the crime bill got an over than 50% approval rating within our community because we wanted something done in our fucking communities. I don't know where the Rodney King thing falls in all this, but like there was this, the O.J. Simpson thing. There was a whole lot of things going on back then, y'all. So it's not that cut and dry. I believe that Bill Clinton had good intentions with that bill, actually. And I believe a lot of people who did it had good intentions. It just clearly didn't turn out that way. And yes, they should be held accountable and we should learn our lesson. But at the same time, it's kind of rearview mirror to really kind of kill them on that. So I'm kind of all over the place on it. I'm not trying to diminish the horrible effects that had happened, but I'm just saying back then people were like, yeah, this is kind of seems sensible. They just didn't know the fucking leash that they were entrapping, if that makes sense. So that being said, that's my context as a black person. But so there's that. But yeah, Doug, if we had more cis white males were respectful of you as far as, delving into these issues. Again, one of the issues that I love is that, how many cis white males have we heard talk about Kamala Harris's ethnicity? None of y'all should be talking about it. How about 0% It doesn't matter. She's a person of color. That's it. That's all you need to know. Why do you need to know if it's 49, 50% Indian? What does it matter to you? Now, black
because
people,
the one drop rule, girl. The one drop
black
rule.
people different. Yeah, black people different though. Black people different. We got to have a different conversation about this. If she's cosplaying and not, doing it, and we've had this, whole cosplaying of people acting like they're black and they're not. So we have to have that conversation, and that's a conversation that we're going to have over here to the side that y'all aren't invited to. So don't do that. Just because your head honcho in charge, your cult leader wants to talk about it, doesn't give y'all permission to talk about it. In fact, it should really be a sign that y'all shouldn't fucking talk about it and y'all should just shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
But y'all don't really understand that because whatever he says, y'all are basically Muppets and y'all basically parrots. So if he says something, y'all feel y'all gotta say it. But here, y'all don't, and y'all don't know anything about that. We're not over here talking about whether JD Vance is white enough for y'all, are we? I don't think so. So, okay, cool. Or he's not as Appalachia enough. That's a conversation for y'all to have. Go to Appalachia, respectfully, start a fire pit, get some beers, do what y'all do out, shoot some guns. I'm not trying to be an ass, but that's what y'all do out there in Appalachia.
Don't
That's y'all
forget
fun.
cornhole.
I like that shit. If y'all are cool, I'll come and go to the bonfire with you, shoot some guns, and have a beer. I'm down with that. That sounds great. I love the outdoors. Give me a little mosquito thing going on. I'm cool. But like, that's y'all's thing. We'll talk about our shit. Y'all talk about yours. So with that being said, Doug is I think going to the bathroom. So when we get old Jeffrey, we got to do this. I don't know if you're that old yet, but so we're gonna jump into this though. We don't have
Remember,
to wait for Doug
y'all
for this.
also 3 beers deep. I've only had my 20 ounces of tea. So
You said deep. Don't be doing that on my stream like that. So so we're going to safely go talk about eggs, right, Jeffrey?
I mean,
Today was National Egg Day.
No, it's not. It's Happy National Butt Nugget Day.
Oh, so you just made another one. I don't have a graphic for butt nuggets. We'll work on that for next year.
They're right there. I see them on the screen.
Those are eggs.
That's a butt. We call them butt nuggets.
Oh my god! Did you see how high that airplane went over my head?
I totally did.
Totally awful. So let's talk about some butt nuggets. It's Happy National Egg Day. So Jeffrey, 2-part question, because obviously as a food scientist and a person who knows a lot about food, it can't be simple. This has to be a complex question. Mm-hmm. So it's National Egg Day. Jeffrey, what is your favorite type egg? And lastly, can eggs be eaten on every meal? What are you talking about? So let's get into that. And then Doug, you didn't miss much, Doug, besides me missing the butt nugget reference. And that's it. But other than that, we got Jeffrey. What's up, Jeffrey?
So you're missing a lot of ways to cook an egg on here, by the way. So if you've ever seen the old French style chef hats that have the ridges around them, mm-hmm. There is a legend that says the number of ridges are the number of ways you can cook an egg in the culinary world. I don't actually know if that's fact or fiction, but that's what I was told, when I went to school. So how do I prefer an egg? I prefer an egg. I'm a big fan of the soft scrambled or a hard boiled egg. I also like coddled eggs, which are not on there. Poached eggs are very good. I also love cured eggs and soy braised eggs. Those are very, very good. Go ahead.
What's the difference between soft and hard scrambled?
Okay, so it all depends on how much liquid is left. If you take a look at the center of the soft scramble, it's going to be cooked to about 120, 125 degrees. If you take a look at the hard scramble, it drives a little bit more water out, so it's going to look a little more shivvy, crumbly, or whatever. And that's, I don't like a hard scramble. That's usually what kids will like because it's not as wet on the inside. I call that murdered. If you ask me, as even the over hard too is murdered. And as far as what is the best meal in which you can eat an egg? If you can't eat an egg in any meal, then is it even worth it? I mean, an egg can be made for any meal. And
I love an egg on top of a burger. Oh.
Girl. Do you know what else? Do you know what else is really, really good? So speaking of when Brian and I met, that summer we took a tour of various Asian countries. And it was the first time that I was really exposed to the art of eating soft fried eggs over rice with fish sauce for breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so good.
Oh, it is.
It's so good. And to this day, it is like a comfort food for me. Like having just like a soft cooked egg over some good steamed rice or even just some good fried rice. I am with you, Marilu. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Eggs are the best anytime. But I'm also spoiled. I have fresh eggs every single day. I mean, not that I eat them every day, but I have them available. I have chickens at home. So, yeah, I literally can.
So, Jeffrey, before we get to Doug and I's rambling, so this is what I wanted to bring up too. So, do you have any preferences? Any comments? Any so can I just take a duck egg and just fry it up like a normal egg?
Yes,
What
the
about
answer is
emu
so
and
here.
ostrich? You ever have that? You ever have goose?
Yes, I have had.
What jumps off at you at this?
So, of all the eggs on here, the only one I can successfully tell you I have not had is an emu egg. However, I have had an ostrich egg. I have had goose, duck, turkey, the various different chicken eggs. Pheasant eggs are also delicious. Pigeon eggs are good. My favorite on here are turkey eggs. I typically only get them once a year when they're doing their turkey breeding, typically in and around springtime. And whatever eggs they don't put to hatch, they usually will put out to sale. We have a local turkey farm about half a mile from my house. Now,
Nice.
you asked a great question. Most recipes are formulated for a 70-gram large egg. So how does one interchange a 70-gram large egg to a pheasant egg, which is slightly smaller at around 50 grams an egg, or a duck or turkey egg, which tend to be around the same size? Typically, one egg, you can use one turkey egg to two duck eggs, to two regular eggs. And ostrich eggs typically is a 12-to-1 ratio, so you would use that as 12 eggs inside that egg. Emu is around 8-to-1. A goose egg is 3-to-1. Typically, again, these are the measurements that I remember just from school. My favorite of these eggs was the ostrich eggs, hands down. It is, I mean, inside that egg, if you've never seen one cracked open, is one of the most luscious, huge egg yolks. And man, it was decadent having scrambled ostrich eggs. And no, they don't all they all pretty much taste the same. I don't want to say that, they have, I mean, there's some are richer than others. But the egg is a super incredible food. Unfortunately, it's used a lot and for a lot of different things.
Eggs are versatile as hell.
Yeah.
This actually, this graphic here shows how versatile eggs can be.
Sure,
And
Zach.
like you said, this wasn't a comprehensive one. This is just one that started the conversation, if that makes sense.
To be really honest, this is not even a fraction of what we use eggs for in the food science space, by the way. You're only talking about the ways in which eggs are cooked to enjoy an egg.
Yeah.
We're not even talking about the way egg yolks are used, the way eggs are used as leavening, as moisture retention. Also can nail down why they put them in the produce section and not with the other eggs. So if they're putting them in the produce section, that's shameful on them, to be really honest. At any point, an egg should be stored in the dairy case or in a case where everything is shut. Eggs that are sold in the store are washed. Once an egg is washed, there is a coating that's naturally around the egg at the last stage of laying called the bloom. Once that bloom is washed off, it allows bacteria to go into the pores. But even if bacteria can get into the pores, anything with an odor can get into the pores. So if you store eggs in a refrigerator with open garlic, they're going to get tainted. It's why you're always going to see eggs in the dairy case or the refrigerator case that's separate from vegetables. So to hear that they're selling quail eggs in the produce section, shame on them, unless it's in a separate refrigerator case and it's by themselves. I mean, it would be my one comment but if it's in the produce section, then that's weird. It should be with the other eggs. But yeah, we use them all over the place. In fact, the Incredible Edible Egg was one of my favorite booths to stop at the IFT, the Institute of Food Technologists, because every year they would show off all the different things that they're doing with eggs, and it's just really awesome.
Hold on, look at that. Look at the head that I got on that, just kind of right over top. How cool is that?
That's fun.
What kind of brown beer is that one?
This is something. So this is something that I've had every year. This is the Allagash Haunted House Hoppy Dark Ale, 6.66 alcohol percentage. How can you go wrong with that? So this one's always good. It's basically almost like a black IPA in a way. It's a hoppy dark lager. So
yeah,
very tasty.
It can be hot, it can be black IPA-ish for sure. Should be thinner though, less thick.
Yep. You're right, April. That is a delicious beer.
Whoa, wait! Put that back up. Put that back up. Look at April looking all dope in that picture.
I was just gonna say, April. I don't know who April is, but I want to know her. She looks beautiful.
April, hey, listen, April's a damn good friend of ours. the last 2 years at
That's my
Barrel and Flow
sister.
Festival, she has
Mhm.
hung with us. April's just fucking
Yeah.
awesome. She's a
I
brewer.
mean,
She's a
listen, if a picture's gonna, if her picture tells me anything, I want to know her.
Why?
I mean,
We're
okay,
gonna
I'll
stop
stop
it.
it. I'll
No,
stop.
I'm not stopping it. Fuck that.
I mean, listen,
No,
I
I'm not.
listen. She said stop it. No means no. I listened the first
All
time.
right.
Consent.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, Jeffrey. There is a consent thing going on. I'm with you. Anyway, Doug, let's talk eggs, buddy. What's going on with
Yeah.
you?
All right. So listen, here's the thing. I'm okay with. Here's the thing. Hard scrambled is a bit much. So basically, soft scrambled. I'm going to say medium scrambled if I'm going to do scrambled eggs. Not sunny side up. I do over easy if I'm going to make eggs just for a little bit so they're easy to handle. Hard boiled. You know what? Not hard boiled. Give me deviled eggs over hard boiled eggs. Straight up. Just
Wait,
give me those.
aren't deviled eggs hard boiled eggs though?
They
I
are, but
mean, they're
I
made
want
from.
yeah, but I want the deviled eggs over just straight up hard boiled eggs. If I'm having hard boiled eggs, I gotta have a little salt on them, and that's fine.
I
But
mean,
poached,
hey, Greg, is a meatloaf a T-bone?
no, it isn't. I will say there is. I actually, when it comes to something where it's like if I'm doing a quote unquote hard boiled egg, when I make deviled eggs, I don't make them hard boiled. I make them jammy
Okay.
because I like the texture of the yolks that
Of the
way.
yolk.
And also with hard boiled eggs, I put gherkin juice in instead of vinegar. So that's a bit different for and poached eggs are just fucking decadent as fuck. I love poached eggs.
I love poached eggs. I love poached eggs.
So good. And they're not as hard as people think. Fucking put some water
No.
with a little vinegar and make a fucking little tornado and throw them in and you're fucking good. You cook them for
And you're good. I mean,
No, you can also water dildo those too.
Yeah, that's true.
So one thing, yeah, I was running late, so I just grabbed this graphic. One of my favorite way to eat eggs is omelets. Actually, that shit is just too good. Especially
love
those
omelets.
really fluffy ones, Jeffrey. That I can't make at my house yet. I'm still working on it, but you got to get it really fluffy and get that. You already know. But omelets are
omelets
my
are
thing.
delicious.
They're just really, really great. Go on, Doug.
I have one thing when Jeffrey, you were talking about like rice with eggs and all that stuff. I'm going to give you one that I eat at least once a week, and it's kimchi fried rice with an egg on the top.
Love it.
It is so fucking delicious.
It's so delicious.
Like just fucking making day old rice, 2-day old rice, whatever. Cook some kimchi in a pan, throw some gochujang in there, throw the rice in, cook it all together, throw it in a thing, coat it with a little bit of fucking sesame oil, over easy egg on top of it, and then some sesame
Easy
seeds
dinner.
and green onions, and it's
an easy,
absolutely
simple
delicious.
dinner. So now the food scientist in me is about to take over for a moment, right? So, Mr. Rosenberg, let's talk about you love eating eggs in cake batter. What's the main function of the egg in a cake batter?
Not to play records.
I don't know if we're going to be able to get him to type fast enough and get it in, but it's
If he's here, he's going to respond to you.
Is he? Oh, good.
Jack will always respond. Jack has.
Yeah, he and I have had some good toe to toes before, and he had me rolling and hollering the last time I was on with y'all.
He's
absolutely funny.
Else.
I remember. Go ahead.
Oh no! You go.
I can very much remember in Principles of Food Science learning about the many functions that eggs serve across the industry.
Wow!
And it's amazing. It's wild and separate, meaning the white from the yolk, or dried egg whites, dried egg yolks. And egg whites are really, really, really friggin' cool. In fact, the whole principle of being able to like whip an egg white up to stiff peak is the reason. That is one of the main principal studies of protein aeration that drove whey protein aeration to make the protein nougat bars that Quest came out with many, many, many years ago that became the #1 selling protein bars. they were able to emulate a very similar whipping process to create air and improve the eatability of those things. So, inspired by the incredible edible egg. They are moisture holders, they're structure doers in cake batter. Yes, the only one that you're missing is emulsification agent, especially if we're talking like a straight up, like, box cake, like a yellow cake. Yeah, you are absolutely spot on. Moisture holder is hygroscopic. It's the hygroscopy of it. And structure doer, I love it. Absolutely. Go ahead. I don't know who to call on first.
Greg first.
Zach Googled it. Anyway, go on, Doug.
I would like to point out that cake is inferior to pie. So
Oh,
I would just like to bring my
Oh,
food shaming
Lord.
into that. You can like cake. I will not. I will choose pie every time over
Oh,
cake.
I
okay, Doug.
I
I
can
shot
I'm
that down,
gonna
though, Zach. I said that you Googled it.
I did not, you monster. I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it. How about,
uh,
do you like pakes?
uh,
Do I like what?
Pakes?
wait,
What
hold
are
on. I
cakes?
got something. I got something for Zach. Quick.
troll.
Yeah, we like to. Anyway, go on.
We like to troll.
Yeah, we like the troll, Zach. It's all good. Anyway, go on. There was a question there that I had to address, Zach. Sorry.
I said, how about pakes?
Oh no. Was this the thing that Zach asked us if he would play something without actually seeing it ahead of time, and I'm terrified.
No.
I would be very, 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 very
Zach,
terrified.
this is a family broadcast. Okay.
No, it isn't. But we're also
No,
not
Doug,
complete
shut up. It
nerds.
is. Doug, shut up. It is a family broadcast. Okay, Zach, and we have to vet things that come through here because Jeff's son watches here and there. Doug, don't do that.
Okay.
He doesn't have access to YouTube.
Oh no, April's here, chiming in on the pie. If she could only eat the crust first. Wait. What the fuck is going on? I
All right.
can't even read this. The crust first, then you remove the filling, eat the bottom, then you eat the.
Okay,
Wait.
I'm going to actually put a pre-K pause on this for a brief moment because listen, this touches on something you said earlier today. So let's talk about something.
You.
Hold up.
Me?
Yeah, you. I'm talking directly to you, cute boy in that blue shirt
Yeah.
over there. Right?
All right,
I'm
dipping.
talking to you.
I'm dipping.
Because listen to me. Oh, no, he can't. No, he can't. You better get your ass back up on camera, girl. There we go. Let me see your face. Because listen, earlier this episode, you were getting ready to shame people for the way they either cut or split open a biscuit and drizzled or spread their honey up on their biscuit. And listen
I
to
was
me.
just asking pointed
I'm
questions.
just
That's it.
I hear you, but listen, I'm calling you out because I can. And you can call me out and make me sit back down and put my fat ass over here. But
I'll put myself on mute.
I remember writing a paper for Professor Bars. It was a process analysis essay, and everybody in the class had to pick their favorite food and write an essay on their preferred way to eat it. And it was the coolest essay experience and writing experience ever. Because, and I'll tell you why. I wrote about eating an Oreo cookie, and I was shamed for the way I wrote about it, by the way, because apparently I ate an Oreo cookie wrong, right? Because what the experience was in the class was to understand that each of us, well, there's a universal sort of like that Mandela effect, right? We all have this like collective memory of something, but then when we actually dive down, it's actually not what we remember. Like if I were to ask you, Greg, how you eat an Oreo, or you, Doug, how you eat an Oreo, or how I eat an Oreo, we're going to have three uniquely different experiences. Though if we're going to talk about the universal experience, we might all wind up describing the same thing. The thing about food is we all have these weird things that we do, and I can relate to what April's saying because like the one thing I'm going to shame her on is that she assumes all pies have fruit, and I eat sweet potato pies, which is not a fruit, crust first, and then I eat my filling. So I will shame her on that because not all pies have fruit, but I eat my crust first with that. So I love seeing that she was unabashed in saying how she actually eats her pie because there is do you guys like cheesecake?
I love cheesecake.
So on Long Island, my favorite cheesecakery is a place called Whistle Stop Cheesecake, or Whistle Stop Bake Shop. It's in Long Island. It's in Oceanside on Lawson Boulevard. If you're ever there, go. It's amazing. Their cheesecakes, they used to make one in a pie shell, which is why I asked if you liked pakery. It's a cake that's baked in a pie shell. And not that they originated this. That term was something I learned on a TV show, maybe last. I don't remember what show it was. I should remember because I really, really, really liked it. But I very much remember taking the tin can that they used to get baked up in, and I would invert it so that I could eat that graham cracker first. Because let's face it, the cheesecake's the best fucking part. I don't want the last thing to be the crust. So I get rid of that, eat that first, and then I'm gonna savor every damn good bite of their swirl cheesecake. And to this day, I'm 42. I do the same thing. I still get the same thing when I go, and I eat it the same way. So April,
Interesting.
I don't
So
know
you-
what y'all talking about, but go on, Doug.
No, I was going to say, so you're one of those people that if you're going to eat something, when you eat dinner, let's say you're eating dinner
mhm.
and you have, all right, I have this, I have a vegetable that I sort of like, but maybe I have a side that I like, and then the main course is whatever. Do you eat it in order? You go, well, I'm going to eat the part I don't like. I'm going to eat the vegetables I don't care for, and I'm going to eat the side I don't care that is maybe a little better, and then eat the main. Do you do that? Is that so? You save
Nope.
the thing you like the most.
Yeah, oh yes. I save the thing I like the most for last. If it's a side dish, if it's a main dish or whatever, like I will always save my favorite bite for last. I'm not one that needs to eat everything in like order. Like I don't need to eat number 1, number 2, or number 3. And I'm not one of those people that is afraid of combining things to try
Okay.
different things and textures together. Like some people are really picky about that. But one thing my grandma Fran always used to do, and I think I have this habit to this day, whenever I would cook for her and it was good, she would always be like, "It tastes so good, my mouth's going, right?" And she'd be like, "That's the last flavor I want for the day. Like, I don't need any of that stuff." So, like, that's just, it's always been with me. Like, I like to, like, if my favorite bite was the mac and cheese, that's the last damn thing I'm eating on my plate, if that's what was on my plate, right? But if it's the Salisbury steak and that was the thing that was just banging good and like whatever it was, like, I want that to be the last flavor in my mouth.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm weird that way, and I fully embrace and lean right into it.
No, I don't think that's weird. I think a lot of people are like that. I am a person as a product of a very poor childhood of like eat everything on your fucking plate and eat all of it and
Yes.
be appreciative. And so basically, I don't eat anything like I'm going to eat this stuff. And I know I like this chicken breast and I know I like that. And that's going to be, I'm going to build up. And no, I just eat it all. Here's a piece of this, piece of this. I don't eat anything in any
Mhm.
order. Greg, how do you do that? How do you do if you have a meal and you have 3 different things, how do you eat it? Do you eat it whatever? Like I'm just curious because I think we all do it differently. You're muted.
It depends. It kind of depends. It kind of depends on what it is, of course, because the corn and the mashed potatoes always got to get mixed in. So then, but does the mashed potatoes have gravy? So then that complicates things. So then, is the chicken eatable or do I got to cut it? But I'm that guy that wants to like. I want all my things together. I want a bite of everything in one little thing. So if that makes sense. So I want my mashed potatoes, my gravy, my corn, and my chicken breast that I sliced up. I want it all in like one little, and I want it all. I want it all in my mouth, Jeffrey. Same time, and I can swirl it around and concentrate on what's filling my mouth, Jeffrey.
I love it. I love it. I love all of it.
So,
I love
look,
all
what
of
is so
it.
funny? I'm literally talking about my dinner.
Look at
Okay?
how red he is.
So,
He turned red.
you ever have like
I
a
love it.
you ever have like a chipotle bowl? Like, for example, you ever this week I had one of those, those salad bowls where you come and like everything is like the sauce is here and the croutons over here, and so I can't just Jeffrey. I have to put it all in, and then I have to like swirl
Mix it
it, and
together.
then it all has
I
to be
did
like
it. My dinner
consistent.
tonight was a chopped salad.
Yeah, and I have to again every single bite when I fill my mouth, Doug, has to have like every single ingredient that's there So I'm that mixed guy. I can't deal with y'all who like has to have these like separate little things and lose your mind if the corn hits the mashed potatoes. What are y'all doing? Like, grow up. You're not fucking a toddler anymore. What the hell is going on with y'all? Yeah, I'm
My
going on a rant. Y'all need these separate plates that have like different little things. So one can go here, one can go here, and then you can touch. No, y'all missing the point of food. Food should be swirled together like a damn DQ Blizzard, dog. We were talking about that. Swirl it around. I don't want just to sit on the top. Hey, I'm that guy too. Like I get a sundae. We were talking about friendlies, Jeffrey. I get the
Ooh.
sundae, and I can't stand when all the hot fudge is on top. So I'm the fucking idiot that's like digging on the bottom and making sure that like there's nothing in it, and I swirl it, and then I will literally probably lose half of my milkshake. I used to when I was a kid over the side of the end, and then I'll be licking it, and then my mom's yelling at me that I'm licking up a damn thing in the cut in the thing. But how do you not have fun with your food? Don't do that. Like,
So, and I'm the kind of so speaking of crazy, right? You mix everything right from the bottom of that sundae all the way at the top, right? You know what I do when I'm because of like I got to bring ice cream into this, right? My
yeah,
daughter
I
has my
do.
ice cream affliction, and like I'm sorry for her.
Mm.
I'm really sorry for her, but I
Did
don't
you
eat it every
apologize
day.
to her yet? Did you
I
apologize
haven't.
to her?
No, I'm letting her explore her own little thing with ice cream, like just however she
You
wants
should
to
apologize at
do it.
some point, though. You should apologize
One
at some
day, I
point.
mean, genetics
Sorry.
are strong. Let me tell you, the genetics are strong. Um, but growing up, and I don't know if this was necessarily a poor thing or not. I was told it was. My Grandma Fran, she's not my real grandma, but I call her my grandma anyway. She used to tell me that when she would get dessert, if she would be lucky if she'd get a tablespoon of molasses or a tablespoon of jelly for dessert. And sometimes they would even put it over a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of ice cream because that's all they had. And like syrup sometimes wasn't no maple syrup. It was whatever was in the cabinet. It might be Karo syrup. It might you just deal with it. But anyway, she would, especially on days where like we would be, have a good dessert. She put a scoop of vanilla ice cream in there, and then she'd put a tablespoon or so of strawberry jelly or some jelly that was in the house on the ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
And it's to this day, I'm 42, it's my favorite dessert. I still will take a scoop of vanilla ice cream, and I'm spoiled. I got my neighbor up over here who makes this fresh blackberry preserves, and that's what I've been putting up my ice cream. I'll call Grandma Friend. I'll be like, Grandma, I'm still eating your dessert, girl. I don't like, but the reason I'm bringing it up is because what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of the jam on the bottom, scoop my ice
Yeah,
cream on, and then put a little bit
yeah.
of the jam on top so that I have it all around.
Je- Jeffrey, did you do the another quote unquote, for lack of a better term, ghetto ice cream dessert? Was of course grape juice and the vanilla.
Grape juice. Yeah, grape juice
Did
and
y'all do
vanilla.
that?
I've
That was amazing. I used to love that shit.
So
Amazing.
Grandma
And
Fran
you
was black,
swirl
by
it.
the way.
It's a
Grandma
swirl.
Fran was black, and
Yes.
is the reason I believe I have such an indoctrination into like soul food culture.
Mm.
It's why I wash my collard greens in thrice before I cook them. Right, there are these little habits that she taught me on how to cook and whatnot, but that dessert is still my favorite. So, oh, and you got to wash them in your stainless steel sink, please. Like, you know what I mean? Anyway, like, or if you don't have a stainless steel sink, put it in a metal bowl, please.
Absolutely. So I had a graphic. I did save a whole bunch of these graphics, so I have a backlog. So I just brought this one up. But since Doug and I
Ooh.
we were talking about these, yeah. Now, so I've never been to Andy's. I don't know what that is,
I was
but
like,
it could be like DQ or Friendly. They all have them now. I mean,
yeah.
even McDonald's has a McFlurry. Even has a level of that. So I don't know if whoever wants to jump in and talk
I know which
about
one I'd pick.
any of these, or you want to pick one, or you want to throw one off the island, or you want to vote two off, or one that you would never eat. I don't care. Just jump off on it, Jeffrey.
I would
Anything.
eat every.
The
I'd
good
eat
and the
every.
bad.
Listen, I'm about to
No
read it.
bad
The
here.
butter pecan rather belongs to
Yeah.
my great grandmother from like 1982. So she can keep it, although I'll still eat it out of nostalgia. Same with strawberry fudge. That belongs with my grandmother, the one who survived the Holocaust. She's beautiful,
Strawberry
wonderful.
fudge.
But like that reminds me of her. I personally am going to be as white as they fucking get. Give me the pumpkin pie ice cream because that is legitimately one of my favorite things to eat is pumpkin pie ice cream. I hate to be that white person. Not the pumpkin spice latte. So if that's pumpkin spice pie, like we're talking from the Starbucks, don't give me that shit. But if it's like real pumpkin pie and you put it up in some good ice cream, there's a place over by us called Kohler's, and they make the best real pumpkin ice cream from pumpkins they grow. It ain't that foofy shit you get at Starbucks. Oh, it's legit. They put graham crackers in the ice cream. Oh, and it's real. Ugh, yes. I don't.
Strawberry fudge, Jeffrey, comes off to me as like one of these beers that fucking Doug would drink that's just not going to work.
Although here's a lesser known.
It's just not gonna work. I just don't see it. I don't get those two flavors. To me, don't mix for me. I know it works for somebody, and that's great. I
It
love
doesn't.
But
I'm
for
going to
me,
tell
it's just
you.
not gonna work.
So, little food science history. Ben and Jerry's had a flavor that they launched, and they tanked real quickly. It was the summer of 2000 to 2001, and they had a flavor called strawberries naturally all fudged up, called Snafu, and it was one of their
Yeah.
least selling flavors.
Look at that. Okay.
So it is not a very popular flavor in the grand scheme of like American palates.
Sure. Yeah, it's just a weird mix for me. Doug, what's weird on here for you, and what's not?
Weird is butter pecan. That can piss off.
That's not nice.
Hey, everybody can like it. That's fine. I don't want it. I'm either going to do chocolate cherry or triple chocolate. It's going to be one of those two. I like the combination. I like the combination.
Chocolate cherry goes well. Even I'm sorry. Go on. My bad.
I was gonna say chocolates and cherries is just a good flavor combination. Triple chocolate, just fucking chocolate. Give me all the chocolate. Yeah, give me all.
Oh, you're just a chocolate guy. So then, next on your list will be the Oreo fudge and a brownie, right?
Try the brownie and then the Oreo fudge.
All right.
S'mores, s'mores no, because of the marshmallows. I'm not a big fan of marshmallows. So
No.
I was gonna say that. Let's see. Kick off the island. I already said the strawberry fudge, so we'll do that. I'm not a huge cherry person either, unless it's cherry beer. Doug knows that, so I would slide that over. I'll slide the cherry over to Doug. It's cool. No worries.
you get butter pecan can
you
get
can all
kicked on
enjoy
the
it.
island for me though.
Nobody said anything about pumpkin. I'm pretty much probably down with that pumpkin, but y'all have ruined pumpkin for me. I love it, but y'all have ruined it. So that's where I'm at.
Listen, you're not wrong.
And it's just not. It doesn't go in everything, y'all. Just don't do that.
It doesn't go in everything, and it doesn't need to go in everything.
No. And I just feel that I loved it more when I was a kid. It used to be more of a treat. Now it's everywhere. It's like it's more like when it was scarce for Doug for me. It was better. You know what I'm saying? Like It was just like time of year. It was at like those 2 months. Right now we're in. I can only get my pumpkin tasty cake. I used to love that pumpkin tasty cake pie. I know it's still around.
It is still around.
Yeah, and I don't. Tasty cake does not have it doesn't come out to my way, and that's good because they strive on freshness. But so I get it when I go back. But yeah, and just pumpkin pies in general. I just like to have a good 1 or 2 per year. I like to have it at the Thanksgiving table, not the kitchen one. Kitchen is we can get into all that, but kitchen for me is apple and other. It's actually pie. Any kind of pie works for literally any kind.
Pie.
Whereas pumpkin is really more for me for Thanksgiving. And then at Thanksgiving is like I'm done with pumpkin. Y'all can just move that shit the fuck out. See y'all in September. I'm cool. Like it's almost like that creep dog that we get with Oktoberfest. You see pumpkin shit in July and you're just like, why? So, I mean, I got it. And if y'all like it, cool, but that creep kind of annoys me. What's up, Doug? You got something, Doug, or no?
No, I just listen, for pumpkin, there's very little pumpkin stuff that I'm a big fan of. Like I did have a very good pumpkin beer. Pumpkin pie.
You like pumpkin beer?
Yeah, but what I will say, my mom makes a pumpkin custard pie that is so fucking perb. Much better than regular pumpkin.
Cool. Good. Sorry, I just saw some in the comments that I...
What'd you say?
Have you guys ever had like pumpkin curry?
No, but that sounds awesome.
It's fucking delicious. So good.
Okay, I gotta try that because it doesn't sound like 2 flavors that would mix with me.
Dude, listen to me. I'm
not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying.
Oh no. Listen. I can tell you with great certainty that the first time I had pumpkin curry, was one of the most amazing things I had ever had. It was a Thai. I think it was actually of Sri Lankan heritage or origin. It was one of the spiciest things I ever had. It was made with delicious coconut milk. It was fresh pumpkin, and it was amazing. I've had the same curries rendered with like kalabasa squash and whatnot. Unfortunately, in American cuisine, pumpkin is typically relegated to sweet shit.
Mhm.
And there are so many different savory things that one can do with pumpkin that are just beyond the pale amazing. So I say branch out. Enjoy your pumpkin. Pumpkin is delicious. And it's pumpkin
Excellent,
time of year
excellent.
because, like,
So, real quick though, I gotta jump
and
off.
they're clean.
I know he's not saying this to me. So, who's he saying this to, Joe? Is that you?
Uh-oh. Yeah, that's to me. I got nominated for the board for
Oh, okay. Well, we won't get into that here. We might get into it when we click end stream. We'll leave that. We don't want to put
That's
any
fine.
pressure in your not pressure, but whatever. We're trying to
No
wrap here
pressure.
anyway. Or Doug's trying to keep us here until Zach's trying to keep us
Well,
here.
I'm not trying to keep you here.
No. That's fine. Zach is. I met Zach. Zach is trying to keep us here because Zach. Remember, didn't he say he has to go and wait? He's going to go get dinner, and then he wants to be prepared to play team. Okay, so that means we need to wrap. Bye,
That
y'all.
means a wrap. Yeah.
Bye, y'all. Where is it? I don't even have my damn ticket. No. I'm joking. So just so you know, y'all, everything tonight started with
Today, you
this.
saw him with a vanilla ice cream shake. Had a straw in it. Oh. Again, that tells you everything.
Oh.
Ooh.
What is this? Y'all still didn't answer my question. I suspect I'm never going to get an answer, and that's fine. Whatever. I don't.
But the thing is that I think it's referencing the fact that like he just doesn't want anything to suck on, and men don't drink out of straws. But I'm sorry, if you're drinking a fucking milkshake, are you chugging it like a beer? No.
You know,
No.
I'm just confused. I guess I'm always going to be confused by what they say over there, right?
Making me want to go to McDonald's and get a milkshake.
Right, and
With
suck
a
down with a
straw.
straw.
And if their machine is working, let's be fair.
Oh, Doug went there because I guess the milkshake machine is the same as the ice cream machine, right?
None of that shit works there. They also had the worst Sprite I've ever had in my life. So they're fucking
The worst what?
Their spicy Sprite that they make. I don't know what they do to their Sprite. It is fucked up at McDonald's. I don't know what they do.
Oh wait, what the hell are you talking about? Spicy.
Dude, have you not heard people talk about how Sprite at McDonald's tastes completely different than Sprite anywhere else?
Oh
wait,
wow!
Hold up, y'all. Hold up. Again, second time tonight. Pre-K pause. Some things you might not know. McDonald's, they're pretty cool what they do. And
Really?
oh well, listen. I'm not promoting McDonald's here whatsoever.
We know.
I don't
want to hear the cool
support
part. I want to hear the cool part.
Yeah. Same.
McDonald's soda. Their suite of Coke products are purposefully formulated for their ice. And you're not going to find those syrup formulations anywhere.
Okay.
It goes for their regular Coke, their Diet Coke, their Sprite.
Right.
All of them. And if you don't believe me, I beg you, go to the store.
I believe you.
Go to any grocery store. Buy yourself a tin can of soda. Buy yourself a bottle of the same soda. Buy yourself a fountain version of the same soda from 7-Eleven or any other convenience store, and then go to McDonald's and get the same soda and taste all four of them side by side. Anyway, it was one of the coolest things I ever did in college was that particular taste test. I will never forget it.
I will say the best Sprite I've ever had, and I drink lots of Sprite because I don't drink a lot of caffeine. So was the sort of I was at a Mexican restaurant and they had a bottled Sprite, like Mexican Sprite, like Mexican Coke. That was the best Sprite I've ever had. I don't know why. It wasn't overly sweet. There was just a really great
King sugar. Jeffrey.
it
I'm
could
pretty
very
sure.
well be. Oftentimes, sodas with cane sugar are going to be flavored very differently.
Mhm.
And I would bet you that it has to do with the manufacturing process and being in glass bottles versus being in plastic bottles.
Mhm.
Would be I only took one real class
Mm.
on flavoring carbonated beverages, and it's really fucking hard. If you've ever tried to make your own soda by flavoring seltzer water, you'll know very quickly you really can't add vanilla extract to seltzer water and sweeten it and get the same feel.
Yeah.
Cane sugar,
Oh,
corn syrup are going to provide
oh.
very. Oh, it's also why like Mountain Dew and citrus flavors are very different in soda. They sit very differently on the soda. Ever notice how like on Sprite sodas, speaking of how you guys like taste beer, right? A citrus flavored soda is going to have a more effervescent nasal flavor. And the reason is that the volatiles that are in the flavor are going to be a little bit more poof with the way that they go off and the way that they sit. They're oil based. So they are going to get their maximum burst as the bubbles burst on the back of your palate, hitting the top part of your nasal bulb. With regards to like Coke, you're going to feel that seated in the back of your throat towards the back of your palate. You're not going to get the same nasal like burst. But yeah, go into like the different types of flavor, the ways in which the flavors are encapsulated for sodas is pretty cool. There was like a huge thing. I want to say it was Mountain Dew in the late 80s, where they had to change the way their flavors were encapsulated. Not encapsulated, it's the wrong word, were set because of, I'm not going to remember the case. So I don't want to just put words out there. But yeah, they had to actually change the way their flavor worked for their Mountain Dew. It was like 87 to 89 that this happened. But yeah, citrus flavors are really fucking hard. That's why there aren't a lot of citrus flavored sodas. They're hard.
Yeah, that goofy. There's a new goofy one out there, Starry. That shit's overcarbonated. Have you ever had that, Jeff?
Wait, what's it called?
Starry.
No.
That's former Sierra Mist.
It's
Oh, Sierra Mist.
it is really overcarbonated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very much so.
Well, I'm sure that's what they were going for. If it got to me, if that makes sense. But yeah, you're right about the. I mean, obviously, you're right. You don't need my verification.
Yeah, I'm also not a
That's something
soda
now that you
drinker.
say that. Yeah, yeah. I've
I'm
stopped. I've
not.
never really
I
been.
me
Even when I
neither.
was
Like if I'm
young,
drinking,
I've
if
never been.
it never was something I craved. This is where like my husband and I are just very different. Like I'll crave a soda or something if I'm eating pizza or greasy food. Like for me, it always helped cut through the grease. But it was always I always associated pizza and soda together. Like I never like I don't I've always been iced tea and coffee. Give me like I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like that's I was never a soda drinker.
Well,
Mm-mm.
yeah, and at this age, I got a beer habit, a coffee habit. I'm good on soda. I'm good.
Yeah, I have an iced tea
I
habit. I
get
need
my
a refill.
calories. Yeah, I
I
get my
need a refill.
calories. Uh-huh. So on that note, I think we're nearing this time, y'all. So one of the things about having reoccurring friends on this stream is that you never ever get to what you wanted to talk about ever.
Nope.
Because we just get on team.
supposed to talk about today? We were supposed to talk about food.
I don't even food.
Clean
Well, we
eating.
did. We did. We
Not
did.
clean eating.
Well, yeah. Well, best part about it is, Jeffrey, and I don't even have a graphic, but we will see you in 3 weeks, 4
I know
weeks.
for Thanksgiving.
For our, Jeff, I can't. Is it just me or is Jeffrey echoing, or is it
Yeah,
just me?
no, he sounds very tinny.
Jeffrey, you sound tinny now. Something changing your settings?
Nope, nothing changed in my setting.
All right, it was there for a second, and it went down to weirdness.
Yeah. But anyway, that being said, Jeffrey, you had tea.
So
No, I'm
tea.
just making
Nothing to review there.
Yeah, we do a review. Yeah. I had I had a couple porters here that I enjoyed. I had a Giant Jones, which I always enjoy Giant Jones. I mean, how do you not enjoy Giant Jones? Shout out to Jessica Jones out in Denver. I had Mobus, which Zach
Mobius.
correctly Mobius, a porter from really Doug's neighborhood ish. I mean, if it's in your state, it's in your neighborhood. Anyway.
Yep.
Because it's not my neighborhood. Anyway, and we also have Pilslanio. Nice little Czech pills, or is it Italian style pills that Doug gave me. Doug, this held up pretty good. But a pills will, as you know, So that was really fantastic. But yeah, real quick, oh actually let's go to Doug and then we can go back to our annual Thanksgiving and Nails show coming up here. Doug, what do you got?
So this was the first thing I had, which was probably the worst thing I had, which was Black Cherry Vanilla Keller beer from Genesee. It was just a weird mix of stuff. Really didn't work.
Yeah, I was skeptical. Mhm.
The gay agenda was
Peachy.
great label, just a little long in the tooth.
You know, one of the best desserts is peaches and cream, Jeffrey. We'll leave that there.
We're gonna
Go
just
on,
leave it
Doug.
there. You're gonna just leave that one.
I also had Allagash Haunted House, which was a hoppy dark ale, 6.66% ABV. This is really good. I have it every year. This is the first time I've seen it in 12-ounce cans. They've always had it in 16-ounce 4-packs.
That's a cute little can.
This was easily the best thing I had. This Forbidden Pumpkin from Abomination. This was so fucking good. It was styled as a imperial milkshake style IPA with pumpkin spices, vanilla, and milk sugar. It was so good and tasty. It drank like 5% ABV and it was 9.3. So yeah, that's what I had today. It was, like I said, I had two beers and then I had two really good beers. So
yeah, that can art is not an abomination. So
no.
And also, what's not an abomination is I don't have a graphic for it, unfortunately, is our Thanksgiving and Nails show coming up with Jeffrey and our close friend, Renee Pickup. Y'all know her from the goofy and fun and sometimes mostly disturbing Doug.
Cult Bar Show, baby. So we didn't plan this, but we were doing a show in the Cult Bar about Christian nationalism the day after the election. So
you didn't plan that at all.
No, Renee's like, we should do this next. And I was like, great, let's do that. And then we loaded up. I'm like, oh fuck, this is the day after the election. Literally, we didn't plan it. So
I'll take some credit for this one because I don't have anything to do with the content on Cult Bar, but it was just when I suggested to Renee and Doug, and when they saw it, they were like, Renee was like, hell yeah. But the schedule had it, Jeffrey, where they had some things scheduled, so then they're just like, okay, let's do it in November. And then when they did it was just a nice, happy coincidence because Doug was like, oh shit, it's the day after the election. So yeah, that's gonna be fun. I'm sorry, Doug, I don't know if you were done with your summation.
No, I'm good. Like, I have not watched any of this yet. Christian nationalism is a pretty big fucking topic. So I'm super interested to see where this goes, but also I'm a little worried because Christian nationalism is well known to be pretty violent. Not that they'd be violent towards us because they're doing a fucking show, but like I'm hoping that like the day after the election, like I don't have to worry about actually talking about Christian nationalism going forward.
Yeah, that sounds really nice, but it's just not going to work that way. But anyway, how it's going to work, Doug, is what I wanted to say though, and we talked about this a little bit last week previewing it, and we're previewing it now, which is now I guess we could argue whether the word cult can be applied to Christian nationalism, but I think that's part of what y'all are going to kind of tackle is the similarities between confirmed cults and this one is what I feel is probably going to be a little bit of a thread line, maybe, right? Because it's not necessarily definitely cult, or am I wrong? Do y'all think it is, or it has those qualities where you have to almost go down and be like, okay, this compares to another cult, or how do y'all work through that sometimes?
Personally, I believe this is definitely a cult. It's definitely a cultism. Okay. All of it is very centered on. I think at the base is there's a accumulation and centering of power, and that's what Christian nationalism is trying to do. They're trying to center this country in the idea of making Christian, especially very I'm missing the word, but basically
Mainstream
like not mainstream.
or no?
No, like the fundamentalist Christian doctrines being hey, this is how we're doing law. This is how we're making sure everybody's following these parts.
Ah,
So
gotcha.
there's a fundamentalism to it is like basically let's make women have no say in anything and we'll make sure only white males are in power and like they'll let certain black males in power as long as they toe the line of white nationalism to empower
And
them.
and then just to be clear here, MAGA is part of white nationalism, but it's not the whole umbrella, right? It's bigger
No,
than
no,
just MAGA, right?
no,
MAGA is a political
no,
or
no, MAGA is very a political part of it. And if you look at Project 2025, Project 2025 is all Christian nationalism. That is Christian nationalism
okay,
at its core.
okay,
And
okay, okay,
Trumpism is using that as a wedge to get in
okay.
power. They're not
So
actually they're Christian nationalists only because it keeps them in power. They're not actually Christian nationalists because they believe in the cause. They're Christian nationalists because it makes them stay in power.
so MAGAism is the political wing of white nationalism.
Right now, yes.
Okay, okay,
White
but before it was like Tea Party, right? Like that kind of thing.
It was a Tea Party before it was the Southern Democrats. Before it
Okay,
was,
so
it's always
okay,
been persistent in
well,
politics. Always.
well, that speaks to my point about you're saying, "Hey, I hope after the election we don't have to deal with it." And I'm like,
Oh, we're
dude,
always gonna have to
it
deal with
might,
it.
We're
Yeah.
always going
yeah,
to have
it's
to
gonna be
deal with
like a
Christian
morphing.
nationalism.
Okay, it's a morphing, but I just want to make it clear here that MAGA isn't. It's not. It's that MAGA is contained within white nationalism, not that white nationalism is. Well, white nationalism isn't contained in MAGA, but MAGA is a small faction of the overall big problem, is what you're saying.
For sure, for
Well,
sure.
what?
And
Okay,
and and,
okay,
and here's the thing. So MAGA is one thing. White nationalism is somebody like Mike Johnson,
okay,
the
okay,
Speaker of the House.
okay.
Mike
Who's part
Johnson,
again? Part of MAGA, but he's bigger picture
he's
than
not
that.
really MAGA.
Okay,
MAGA's a vehicle to allow him to promote Christian nationalism.
to me,
He's not.
if you worship the big God, then you're MAGA. That's my definition of it. He
But
worships the big God.
Mike Johnson, to me, does not worship Trump. He just
No,
views Trump.
agreed.
He views him as a useful idiot to push their agenda.
Okay, cool. See, to me, if you follow Trump, you're MAGA. That's where I'm at.
Oh,
I
for
don't
sure, for sure,
spice
for
it any
sure. But
further than that. I don't
It's
spice
kind of
it.
like
And
jacuzzi and hot tub.
if you do his work, you're MAGA. So again, doesn't mean that you fully respect him. Doesn't mean you feel you're under him. But if you're doing his work, Mitch McConnell, you're MAGA, Mitch McConnell. Don't do that, Mitch McConnell. Don't try it because he tries it. He tries to act like, oh, well, it was Trump who didn't do the border bill. It was Trump who didn't do this, bitch. If you would tell these people to do something besides Trump, they would do it to you. So don't do that, Mitch McConnell.
yeah, for sure.
Like we're not this fucking stupid. Don't. And that's what I feel about Mike Johnson too, bitch. If you would say let's pass this bill, they will probably listen to you over Trump. Maybe I'm wrong, but I know they would listen to Mitch over Trump. We've seen it actually. We've seen Mitch push back on Trump, and then everybody be like, yeah, we got to push back on Trump. So, Mitch, you don't get to do that, motherfucker. Fuck you. Anyway, maybe Mike Johnson can. Mitch, you don't. Fuck you. Anyway, so there's that. A little nice fuck you to Mitch McConnell because we haven't done that in a long ass time around here.
And that
Doug.
motherfucker deserves it.
Where are we slipping? Right. And then also, lastly, so we can get out of here and talk to Jeffrey on the backside, which is usually funnier than talking to Jeffrey, period, because talking to Jeffrey is awesome no matter what. But that being said, you see that stupid black MAGA fucking black Nazi MAGA idiot he's literally running around campaigning with a cardboard cutout of Donald Trump after Donald Trump don't even want him. This dude is literally putting a cardboard cutout in his fucking car and running around with it like a fucking twit. And that is my constitutional right to say that shit. Thank you. That is my opinion, and I'm entitled to it. He's a fucking twit, and he's a clown, and he's going to help Kamala win North Carolina. And for all that, we're thankful. So anyway, on that note, Doug, I'm going to pass it over to you to say goodbye, and we'll give Jeffrey the last word because he deserves it.
Yeah. So thanks everybody for watching as usual. We're super thankful for this, and thanks Jeffrey for hanging out with us and And being willing to talk through us through some hard topics and also some fun, dumb topics too. So thank you for that. So cheers.
I love being here. That's all I have to say. It's just nice being in great company. It's always something I look forward to. I know that it's going to be super quick. I get to see y'all next week or next month, so I can't wait for our annual.
Yeah, I think we got like 3 weeks, but we'll talk. We'll get into nails there. We'll talk about more food there. We can talk about. We can get to the clean, part. And different things we can do to be better, especially around Thanksgiving. Bring your Thanksgiving menus, which y'all are planning. If y'all are planning, we haven't started that yet. We started in November, so we haven't. It's kind of early for that. We're still kind of, we're still kind of in Halloween mode.
Yeah.
Doug and I are still getting over being drunk at Oktoberfest, drinking out of it. So we need a little bit of time, but we're gonna do that. That should be fun. Thanksgiving, it's always good with Jeffrey. Jeffrey always gives us the tips. I still make we call it Jeffrey's mac and cheese. So I didn't.
Oh, you can't really see my mug, can you? As I'm having my little tea. Can you read it?
Oh, no, we can't read it. I want to.
I'm a fucking.
There we go. Mm-hmm. So, Jeffrey, the only problem I have with that mug is if you have to tell someone that you're something, are you really that something? I'm just
nope.
Okay, because you know how like people run around and be like, "I'm an alpha male," and everybody looks at them like, "Okay, we know you're not an alpha male now because if you tell us, then alpha male. Come on, Jeffrey, you could smell an alpha male.
Oh, listen, all the things I do." Whoo!
See, you already know what I'm talking about.
I do.
I'm new to this, so I need some lessons, and I can get them from you. It's cool. And Doug's fine. Doug's fine. But Doug's not out here trying to act like he's an alpha male. So who cares?
No.
That's what makes an alpha male, in my opinion, is that you're not trying to be one. You just are. You just exist. I don't even know what that shit means at this point either, because we're back to it. Because again, these motherfuckers.
You saw him with a vanilla
ice cream shake, and that's masculine or something. Anyway, Doug, sorry I cut you off.
No, one thing quick, as someone who works in IT, if you're doing an alpha build is the most unstable build you could possibly do. So
he's not wrong.
And on that note, Jeffrey, any final words here? And we will get out of here.
If you haven't already, make sure you're registered if it's not too late and go out and vote.
Yes, please.
Don't fuck around. I don't care. Listen, you two might not like what I'm about to say. I don't care who the hell you're voting for. Get out and vote, because if you don't exercise your right, then you know what? You get what you get.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh no, we're cool. I know. We want everybody to vote. We're cool.
I want everybody to vote. I'm not going to say vote for Kamala, vote for Jill, or vote for. Vote for who you need to vote for, but at least get out and vote. Right. And if people are trying to shame you and who you're voting for, don't listen to them. You have your convictions. Vote for who you're going to vote for.
And also, nobody knows who you're voting for. You can vote for whoever you like. Yeah. And if you're with someone who's trying to command you to vote a certain way, you can go in that voting booth and vote your conscience and be fine with it. Nobody has to know.
And furthermore, you don't have to tell anyone either. So you can do what you want. You don't have to tell anybody. That's your private business, and nobody needs to know. And no one's in that booth with you. So I'm not sure what the problem is.
Them, girl.
Is it a problem? Right. And you don't have to answer those polling people, and you don't have to believe that. Listen, fuck the polls and forget them. We actually have results now, y'all. There are plenty of places you can see the results. We actually have votes now. Skip the polls. Who gives a fuck? It's tightening. Well, that's because CNN needs it to be tightened. ABC needs it, or we'll just turn it off and say, "Hey, the election's over." And again, Jeffrey, I generally I generally like the confusion that the media is involving in now. The reason is because it keeps people on their edge, and it keeps people feeling that they have to vote, and that's what we need. We don't need y'all to get lazy, because we know what happens to lazy Americans. We know.
We saw it in 2016.
We saw in 2016. Sometimes we see it all the time, because first of all, half of y'all don't want to fucking vote in the first place. So that's why it's a win if we get anybody to vote. I don't care if you're going to vote for the adjudicated rapist, fraudster, sexual abuser guy. If that's what you feel you have to do, that's fine. At least you're doing your civic duty. How about that? So there's always a good silver lining there. I don't want you to do that. I'll go out and say I don't want you to do that. But if that's what you're going to do, hey, if you're thinking about Trump, RFK is a great option. Try that one. And on that note, I hear music. Is that you, Doug?
No, it was me looking at something, and unfortunately, I played music. So sorry.
Oh, no worries. I'm gonna play music too, and we're gonna get out of here. Jeffrey, thank you for everything.
My pleasure.
That you
Great
do
to
for
see
us
you
on
all.
the side. Jeffrey's always there for us on the side for any kind of like cooking problems, and we do go there with him all the time. So I know Doug and I love it because I know Doug, shouts you out too. So, Jeffrey, we just want to thank you for your friendship. We appreciate you big time.
I appreciate you both.
Unfortunately, not going to see you next week, but you need to hit it out. Well, I know you're going to hit it out of the park, so I'm not even really concerned about that.
I can't wait for next week.
No. Y'all have a great time, and again, you deserved all the accolades and what is Miley Cyrus? What is she?
All the flowers.
All the flowers.
Thank you. I was going to say roses. Yes,
I'm okay with flowers or roses. Thank you.
Yes. Well, that song is a beautiful song too. But anyway, on that note, y'all, we're just gonna go out with our friend Jeffrey because that's how we do it here, y'all. One more time now.
You saw him with a vanilla.
No. We're not doing that. Fuck you. Bye, y'all. See you next week. It'll just be at this point. It's just Doug and I. But we'll see if we can book a guest, and actually, we'll see if we show up. We may not show up, and y'all might get Jeffrey again. So who knows? We'll see. Look, double the twice of Jeffrey. That's great. But anyway,
I love it.
We'll talk to y'all soon.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Have a great weekend, y'all. Have a great weekend.